in there on their side. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Luckily, no damage happened to them, right? Thank God. Else I would have been back down to one monitor. We are live, but when situations like that happen, you're kind of come out and just end up having to pay more money than anything. That's so weird.
Yeah,
so weird. Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, we came in abruptly. I said, you know what? We got to get things started. We're already a little bit behind. Me and Pong were playing catch up. Hopefully you can hear me as that goes as well. Pong, hopefully you can hear me clearly as well. A little bit different of a setup, guys. As you can tell, things aren't quite the same here. I got a pink purse behind me if you guys want to see that. But nonetheless, we got some boxes and things here. Got Nawe on the screen back here. Y'all probably can barely see that. But hopefully everything is sounding good. One major upgrade that has happened as of late, right? Because me and Pong we were talking about, I had some, for those who have not known, you haven't been paying attention. Main reason why we have been gone for some time, welcome to Living Split Screen, is I was moving, right? It's taken a couple weeks to get everything essentially situated. We're still figuring things out and whatnot, but the battle station is set up. So I said, why not? It's time to get back into it. I love coming here Saturday mornings and rocking out with y'all. But there was a point that I was making, and I forgot what I was making because I just got so excited.
One of the upgrades you got in the new house. I'm assuming you were going with internet.
One of the major upgrades that we got, and again, this just applies across the board for Living Split Screen as well, is I got fiber internet now.
Right.
Fiber is probably one of the biggest technological upgrades that you can have, right? This is just ironic for me as somebody who used to work for AT&T. When Uverse first came online, I was one of the first people coming to your door, slanging Uverse in your face, telling you we're about to lay some lines down. Not pipe. I wasn't no pipe down, but laying some lines down in your neighborhood so that you can get the best quality internet that the area provides. So now we're getting a gig up and a gig down, ladies and gentlemen. So hopefully no more issues. Bro, I tell you, I was downloading a 40 gig game the other day, just as an example. I'm talking about like within 5 minutes, the game was done. I was like, look at where we're at. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the future. It's feeling good, man. So that's been really dope. It's been a huge upgrade as far as that. Also ended up getting a 1440p monitor. It was a housewarming gift. That's been really good to experience. Of course, the deeper colors, updated screen.
Oh, what? 1080's fine, Steel. It's a monitor. Come on, man.
1080 is fine. And again, you know, I use reshade, so it's always looking proper.
Oh, yeah, but you just said it. It looks better.
It's got some deeper colors. I mean, again, you're talking about a screen that's 6 years newer than the ones that I currently have. So you're gonna have those different. It's kind of like
we're gonna get him, chat.
Console, right?
We're gonna get him to OLED, chat. He's gonna be 4K OLED. Oh no, he is. Oh no. Mark this, chat. Mark this. We will revisit this in a couple of years.
Again, like I said, it was a housewarming gift. This is not me. So, like at the end of the day, I mean, again, I did make the post saying, "Hey, I'm looking at it as a 1440p screen," but nonetheless, just because of how I use my station for everything, whether it's gaming, whether it's work, whether it's whatever. So doing a little bit of everything. And I still want to change my screen setup a little bit here and there, but I'm not ever going to 4K. I'm not ever going to OLED. I don't care about any of that. That money is completely pointless. I can spend that money in other places. That makes more sense.
It's going to become cheaper and cheaper, brother. You're going to have it.
That's the other thing that's crazy, though. Monitors here late, because even this one, it's an Asus TUF, 32-inch, 1440p, even 165 hertz. This one was like, when I looked it up, it was like sub 200 at the time, or a little over 200, which is a couple years ago. This bitch was $400 or $500. You know what I'm saying? So like, I saw some people kind of putting some things out there like, oh, maybe it's people trying to get stuff out there before the terrorists hit and whatnot. I can see that. Maybe trying to make some quick money, but there's some good deals being had out there. So that's super dope. Super freaking dope. Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on, man? I see y'all in chat already getting active. Greatly appreciate y'all. Stanley Francois coming in with the what's happening, fellas, and chat. Excuse me. And ladies and gentlemen, I unfortunately, over the last couple of weeks. I haven't been gaming into much. I did pick up a little bit as of late, and there is a couple games that I definitely want to put you guys on about. One of them you guys are probably already familiar with, but I think it's going to be interesting to get into those conversations. But I got to introduce the pod because it's been a minute since we've done one. And if you do not know, you are locked into Living Split Screen, a non-console centric platform that's talking about everything going on with the gaming industry. At least we try to make it everything. Sometimes we skip some things because we always like to appeal to our interest, right? And whatever the chat likes to get into. But that does not mean that we still don't get into that RTS approach. That's real-time strategy. For those who don't know, we pull ourselves out of the world, look at the darker crevices of that map, pull our resources together so we can not only build up our own foundation right here on Living Split Screen, but also build up the foundation for the conversation for the chat and the beautiful people who tune in on a week-to-week basis. Not only that, this is also the home of that ECP. That's that educated consumer perspective, because again, me and Pong do not work in the gaming industry, right? We're two gamers who got plenty of real life work experience behind us, professional experience, whatever you want to call it. And we like to bring those things to the table as we play Armchair CEO and just have a fun time talking about all the possibilities and all the happenings and the potential of the gaming industry mainly. I like to throw some extra things in there. You know, we got to throw some personal topics in there sometimes, maybe mix up the combos a little bit and talk about what's happening in the world as well. You know, so you get a mixed bag here sometimes. But if you weren't familiar as well, we're on all audio platforms. So whether that's Spotify, Apple, whatever it may be, you can find us there. I want to say it was a couple weeks ago, I ended up uploading. I didn't realize that I'd actually missed quite a few episodes that I wasn't uploading. A lot going on in life, just wasn't thinking about it, I guess, completely skipped my mind. And nobody told me that, hey, yo, Steele, where these episodes at? So I completely let slip my mind. But there's 16 hours of content that I uploaded that other weekend for on the audio side of things. If you missed a few episodes or if you didn't get it on the audio side, you do have that. And now you'll have this additional episode as well. And I don't have anything necessarily planned for today. So I think we'll be getting into it pretty live, raw, and uncut with one of your hosts, Steele Rain. That T is a 7 everywhere. You could follow me. Google's the easiest place to find all the information, but I do frequent the streets of X, otherwise known as Twitter, and the Xbox ecosystem, just because it works so well between the PC and the console itself. But enough of my shenanigans. I gotta introduce, you know, Pong, I don't know if you've seen the shots of Emma Frost. I'm pretty sure you did.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel Rivals understands what X-Men needs. And my God, Pong, when they played that clip, when she said, my X-Men to me, or however that shit went, I was turned on. I'm not even gonna lie. I was bricked. And I like her outfit. Her X-Men outfit was pretty nice. Her X-Men outfit was nice. That new one she got is super fucking dope.
Are you talking about the black and yellow one? The black and yellow one?
Yes. Yeah. That is that outfit is absolutely amazing to me. Right? And you can call me, you guys, y'all can see whatever you want. I like attractive characters. I want my characters to stand out. They made her look real good. Marvel Rivals continue to do their thing. I was telling Pong in the background because I jumped back in for a little bit last night. Was playing tank. Nobody wanted to play tank last night, apparently. Like nobody. So I was being Venom, getting back into the groove of things, swinging around, dropping on folks, and trying to make shit happen. I was having some fun. But Verdansk came back as well, and I was dropping in and out of there. It's just so many games to play. It's so much fun to be had, man. But again, enough of me. I brought up X-Men because we got the X-Men himself that is not Cyclops. He is not Iceman, but he did have kitty pride in the closet last night. I saw him. They were telling me. But he is a fan of the Phoenix herself. My guy, my confidant, the one and only brother from another, the uncanny gentleman, Pong. So, what's going on, brother, man? How are you feeling? It has been a couple of weeks, and got some energy to bring to the table, man.
I'm no longer lost, Steel. I've been lost in the wilderness without our Saturday mornings, brother. I don't know where I've been. I don't know what I've been doing with myself, but here we are back at it, and I feel complete. Steel, you complete me, Steel. That's where we're at on a Saturday morning. Hey, man, brotherly love, man. There's nothing wrong with that. We're all good. No, it's great to be back here on a Saturday morning. It does feel more normal doing this show. Again, not to say that I didn't get shit done over the past couple Saturdays, getting my workout in, getting things situated for the day. But it's not the same, man. I need my talk time here with you, Steel, and of course with our chat, because that's what we do a lot of Unlimited Split Screen. So it's great to be back. Yeah, man, it's been interesting. It's been interesting, man, out here in the video game streets. Not a lot of news, and then there's been some cool news. There's been some hints at cool news, and then of course Nintendo blew up this week with the Switch 2, and that was one hell of a roller coaster ride, which we're going to talk about as well with the Switch 2. Yeah, a lot of things to get into. This industry continues to be fascinating. As far as gameplaying goes for myself, I'm just going to keep saying it because there's been times where I've been playing a lot of games and putting a lot of hours in, and now I'm in this role. And I told you guys kind of coming into this year, this was probably going to be like this, and I'm not able to spend as much time on games. So, I don't get to be as cool as Steel and run down the list of new games that I'm playing, but I will say this week, I have been playing Atomfall, which you guys all know that I've been hyped about for a long time. I've been doing other things too. Jump back into Warriors Abyss, which is the roguelike based on Dynasty Warriors, which I'm still enjoying the hell out of. They dropped some new characters in there for free from Adilair.
That's dope.
Yeah. So that was dope. So I had to go try that again. I re-downloaded all the ages. Now all the ages are back on my console again. Because Age 2, well, I've been playing Age of Mythology. You guys know that. Well over 100 hours in Age of Mythology. Love my Age of Mythology. But Age 2 is getting a massive update this month as well. They're still continuing to support that. But Age 4 is getting 2 new classes this coming week, 2 new groups this week. Of course, the Knights Templar is coming, and then the House of Lancaster, which I didn't know much about. But of course, in classic Age fashion, World's Edge is educating people because it is historical. What they use in their games, it is historical, mostly fact. They play around a little bit with some of the units as far as how big, how capable they were, but all their stuff is based in fact. So I'm super excited. I already got them preloaded. Already bought them. Of course, I got $10. $10 credit from Xbox. Shout out to Microsoft Points, still working. So I picked up that. So I've got all the ages downloaded. I'm ready this month. It's going to be a heavy RTS month because we also have Tempest Rising, the latest and greatest Command & Conquer spiritual successor coming to PC. It's not coming to console, but
I'll talk about it.
Mab and I both tried the demo. Yeah. This is Command & Conquer. Like, if you guys love Command & Conquer, there's been other games that have absolutely brought that spirit, but my God, Tempest Rising is going to be on a different level when it drops. They are now in the mode of promoting. They are dropping videos, clips of the game all week. They are doing all the weeks leading up to the end of the month when it drops. So that is going to be day one as well. So it's going to be a heavy RTS month. But Atomfall has been my game. You guys know that I dropped Avowed, uninstalled it, not going back after 80 hours. Enjoyed my time with it, but then lost interest. So I had time for Atomfall. So I've got about 7 hours in, maybe 8 hours into Atomfall at this point. This is a very good AA game. And this is I love it. I always tell you guys how much I love when developers step outside their comfort zone. I love Rebellion, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm not a fanboy of Rebellion. I love Rebellion. Yeah. I love what they do, man. I've been fans of Rebellion for a long time. And I love when devs step out and try to do something different than they've ever done before. And this, again, another one of my favorite sayings, and a lot of people do this, but this is a 360 era type game in which if it was the 360 PS3 era, we would get a sequel to this game in the next 2 to 3 years that would build upon this world. Right. And this is what we used to get. And I hope that happens here. I hope Rebellion moves forward with this IP. Is this a perfect game? No, it's not a perfect game. Of course not. It's not that at all. Most games aren't perfect, but I'm just saying when we talk about, the games coming out, could this game, use a lot of things? Absolutely, of course. But as a first kind of foray into a new IP and a genre that Rebellion normally doesn't do, I think they did a really awesome job with this game. I am having a great time. The exploration, again, this is one of my favorite parts of games. You guys all know this. So does it sound like a broken record because I talked about the exploration in Avowed? Those are two different types of exploration. Both are rewarding for different reasons. I loved Avowed's exploration, and I love the loop of constantly finding loot at the end of your exploration in Avowed. I thought they did a masterful job there. With Atomfall, it's different because this is a survival game. Yes, you're finding loot, but you're finding crafting items, that kind of stuff. You have a limited inventory because it is more on the survival side. So you're not able to grab as much stuff. You're not finding, different rarities of weapons. That's not what this game's about. So the exploration is different here. The thing I've been bringing up when I've been talking about Atomfall, this is rare for a game like this when you've got a bunch of side missions along with the main missions you can complete. But this tells you about the freedom of this game. They throw you into this game with no direction whatsoever, except for a very general idea of what I love this, bro. I love this. And it's flat out. Like from the minute the game starts, like you get a little intro. First dude you kind of meet, kind of gives you a rundown of what you're facing, but you wake up in the game with no memory of who you are, right? Or why you're there. So they play into that. So you kind of just get thrown into this world. You walk out into the world and they do have kind of a Bethesda walkout moment into the world, which is dope, right? It's really cool. And then you're just free to go. Pick a direction and go, man. Pick a direction and go. Just go find whatever you want to go find. I can't say enough about games that do it and do it right. This game does it right. So I have not been using what I was getting back to with my original point here. I've not been using any of the markers or any of the tracking for any of the quests. I haven't done that. Like it keeps telling me you're not tracking any quests right now. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to. And I've just been running through the world. And just finding what I find, complete some side missions randomly by finding into people. Of course, I'm listening, so I know generally where I'm supposed to go and stuff like that. And I have an idea, but I'm not using the quest tracker at all in this game. And I'm having a blast playing it that way. Having the freedom to take out any NPC, even quest givers, even merchants in this game, if you don't like them, you could just kill them. I love it. I love games like this. Some games have, when you do that, or there's been plenty of games that have done this, but sometimes they will end the quest. If let's say they're a side quest character and you wind up killing them off. A lot of games will just end the quest and you fail the quest, or the quest is just uncompletable at that point. In this game, I have not come across a side quest yet that's happened to me. Now, I'm not killing everybody in this game. I'm picking and choosing depending upon their attitude. But I haven't found, out of the ones I have decided to do that with, they still give you the option to complete the side quest in a different manner. So that is really cool as well. But just the fact that I can do that, and that the NPCs, actually, when you search their bodies, do have useful items on them, I will put it that way, that maybe you would have gotten later, or maybe that you could have found later, but you can just get them right off the body. Again, I love that aspect of this game. It's another piece of freedom that not every game does, that actually very few games do it to this extent, where you can pretty much knock off anybody you want to.
I know.
So I got to
always speak to that. So
I love it, bro.
I want to be able to take out everybody if I can.
Right. And it's not even, they don't even go so far as to, have, good or evil or that kind of stuff in this game. I mean, you're trapped in this kind of, again, something that it's tropey as hell. Obviously, it's a nuclear fallout situation. It's this, dystopian type place. You're trapped in this one part of the land that they've locked you off from the rest of the world because of the nuclear fallout. There's some, of course, radiation, weird shit going on. Like, again, this is all stuff we've seen a billion times in video games before. But they don't necessarily even have, the good evil stuff. You just get to kind of choose who you want to be in this game. Like, it's really cool. Now, the AI isn't great. Mav spoke to this. On his side, the AI isn't great. Again, AI doesn't really bother me that much overall in video games. It can.
That's more me thing, for sure.
Yeah. It doesn't. Again, if you're gonna give me dumb AI, cool, whatever. This AI is really weird. It can be dumb, but it's also hypersensitive, and they see you literally from like 300 yards out and start calling you out.
Dumb. Yeah, that's dumb.
Like, they start calling you out, but it's not an instant attack. The thing is, Steel, it's not an instant attack. They have an aggression meter, and the aggression meter pops up, so you can see it. If you back away from them, they'll leave you alone and go back to their pattern. If you pull a weapon, they'll warn you again. If you draw that weapon on them, they will instantly attack you, right? Okay. So there is there's levels to it, right? So that makes it interesting, but how far they can see you is pretty nuts. The other thing is the skill system. This is not your classic RPG, so you're not getting like experience points, right, for kills. You're not getting that. They do have skill trees, but the way you progress through the skill trees is by finding, which has been done before, skill books, right? And you earn points. So they have those built into certain areas. I think Far Cry. Far Cry does this. Where you find skill books and you open up, and you get skill points, and then you can place them where you want to. Also, there's skill sections that aren't open to you. You actually have to find the books or buy the books or trade with there's no real money in this game. You're trading all the time. So you're trading items for items, but you could trade with the traders for a book that will open up more skills as well. Okay. And then you can put points into them. So it's not your classic RPG from that standpoint. I like the system. I did say, I talked about Avowed's leveling system being a little slow to my liking. I thought I was going to find more skill points in this game, especially with the way I'm exploring, because you find them in random areas. I'm not finding them as quick as I thought I would, so it is a little bit tough sledding with the skills, not getting the skills up. Now, to be fair, I have not gone to like the one town where the majority of survivors are kind of sitting at. I know where it's at. I've been to the front gates. I haven't entered there yet, because I'm having too much fun out in the countryside. So I haven't got to the point where I can modify my weapons and increase my weapons and that kind of stuff. I'm running around with the basics, taking on all these AI. And I will tell you, the AI, once they get on top of you, if there's 2 or 3 of them, especially if you got one dude shooting bow at you, and they're obviously godlike accuracy, as a lot of video games do. Yeah, it gets you're going to get wiped. I mean, it gets pretty tough. You have to use the old tactics on this AI. And again, if you've played enough games in your lifetime, you'll know what I'm talking about. Retreat, find corners, find buildings where they all have to come single file into the doorways, right? And you sit there and you take them out 1 at a time, 2 at a time max, but you can, pull out your big heavy melees, because they got quick melees, they got heavy melees. Like I'm running around with a 2-handed mace right now, this huge ass freaking mace. And it takes big swipes, so you can hit multiple enemies at a time too. So you got to play that game as well. So I've been doing that. Again, is it perfect? No. Mav pointed it out, for being an open world type game. It's not completely open world, but you know what I'm saying. It's big. It's a big open world. It's like Avowed in a lot of ways. They don't allow you to run up like little slopes on hills and shit. So there's no climbing. There's no Skyrim climbing like we did have in Avowed. There's none of that kind of stuff. It is annoying because you'll see a hill, literally like a little mound steel in the ground. You're like, I have to walk over that. That ain't happening. You jump on it and you slide backwards like you're sliding down the mountain. Like it's the animation is like you're sliding back down the mountain. It's like nuts. So there's stuff like that. But again, first game out for Rebellion in this IP. I see this is not a $50 million, $100 million, $200 million game. Okay, it's not like that. This is a AA budgeted game, but the world, the NPCs are interesting. They're not good looking. I pointed this out. Some people, have said, well, this is UE5. It is kind of, good look. It's not. Like there's textures and there's lighting that it's very good looking. I've taken some great screenshots, but you'll notice all my screenshots outside of the gameplay that I've posted, the clips that I've posted of me taking out a couple NPCs. All my screenshots have been environmental screenshots. That's for a reason, because the NPCs don't look good, bro. The NPCs just don't look good, man. They're not fun. They detract from my photo if I try to take screenshots of them. So that's just a personal, again, it's going to be in the eye of the beholder, but for me, it's not this, again, it's a double-A game, man. So, but I think the story also, how it's presented, and you keep picking up this phone and this random weird voice tells you random weird things that don't make sense, along with the fact that I can go into areas that if you were playing a standard kind of linear type game with, mission-based game that they kind of tried to lead you through the story, you would wind up at much later. Like I went to one of what is considered, again, no spoilers, but I wound up very early in my first couple hours, getting to the area that kind of seems like the main mission spot that a lot of shit's going to happen, and I could actually go in and open up a lot of that area. Now, it made me go back out to go get some other important items to get further, but it seems like that's like the main spot where a lot of the kind of conclusion to the story is going to happen, or at least I'm going to find out a lot. And I was allowed to go in there. I was allowed to mess around in there. Okay. And I love that. So the story itself, how they're presenting it, makes me curious still. I'm not going to sit here and talk about, again, I've talked about the writing in Avowed and some of the other games I've played recently. Right. It's not the greatest writing, but it is very good writing. But the curiosity to keep you going is there. And the NPC stories, like I met that Miss Rook that I posted the video of, that I took her out because she was batshit crazy. She's been stuck in this. She's stuck in her rundown mansion. Yeah, she's stuck in her rundown mansion, thinking her servant is still alive, thinking her friend is still alive, thinking that people are still going to come over and enjoy the mansion. Bro, I was talking to her, and then she didn't want to give up the key to one of the areas in the mansion, and she gave me the option to go find her servant. I could find the key, whatever else. He had it. I was like, nah, Miss Rook, I'm sorry. I'm putting you out of your misery. I'm putting you out of your misery. You don't want to give me the key, but you just batshit crazy, man. There's no coming back from this one. And I just wound up killing her. But the interaction with her was interesting enough where I was listening to her entire kind of spiel and going through the questions and answers with her and kind of getting through it and kind of hearing who she was and what was going on in this supposed mansion at one time. So, that kind of stuff is there. So, said a lot. I like Atomfall. Again, is it a game that you drop everything for? Is it a game of the year? Is it no, it's not like that. But if you're looking for an interesting game, it's not going to be for everybody. But if you got Xbox and you got Game Pass, you download it and you try it out. Because it might appeal to you the way it's appealing to me. There is a certain something here that is really cool, even if everything else isn't, necessarily the greatest. Performance is fine. I will tell you that. I've had zero bugs as far as performance goes. Haven't had any issues, no crashes, no weird shit. You can save scum in this game. So if you want to see how you... Yeah, no, I haven't had any problems, Steel. I'm serious. Again, Magic Xbox, whatever. I just haven't had any problems in that case. You can save scum so you can try things out if you want to. If you want to kill somebody and see what they'll give you, and then you find out it's not that great or whatever, go ahead and do that. I love save scumming in these types of games because it is interesting. But yeah, I think everybody should check out Atomfall if you got the time and chance. Again, like Mav, he tried it for an hour or so and then uninstalled and said he's not going back because he's playing AC Shadows. And I could see if you're playing AC Shadows, Atomfall is probably not going to be a game you drop AC Shadows for. It's a side dish. It's not a main course, right? It's a side dish. But it's very good. And I'm happy with it, and I'm happy I get to play it, and I'm happy for Rebellion. So overall, good experience with Atomfall so far. Again, it's not going to be game of the year. I'm not going to sit here and say it was one of the greatest games I've ever played or anything like that. But it is a very cool little game from a studio that I really respect, trying to do something different and combining different games, like your Fallouts, right? Like your Stalkers, trying to do their own smaller version of that, or of an Obsidian game, right? And actually doing a pretty good job at it, and something they can build off of. So that's been my gameplay. I could talk about a couple other. I've been playing College Football 25. It's now in Game Pass, of course, with EA Play. It finally dropped into EA Play, so I'm back on my road to glory, playing College Football 25. Still think that's a freaking great game. It's frustrating as hell, and especially when you don't play it for a while, it's rusty. But having a great time with that. But this month, there's some new stuff coming out to both Game Pass. Obviously, Clair Obscur 33. I talked about Tempest Rising is going to be a day one for me. There's Commandos Reboot is coming out, which is another tactical turn-based game that's coming to Game Pass day one. So I'm going to have some other stuff to talk about. Lunar, the Lunar reboot is coming out remake, I should say, is coming out this month as well. A classic standard JRPG getting redone. I will be jumping to Lunar as well. I did not jump into Suikoden. Both of them are high on my JRPGs list, but Lunar, when I saw Lunar was coming out, I was like, okay, that's going to be my new classic style JRPG that I want to jump into, because I love Lunar. It's one of the unsung heroes from back in the day that there's a big group of fans, but not as big a group of fans as there should be for that high quality JRPG from back then. Like, you can set this aside, in my personal opinion. You can set this, like the Shining Forces as well as another one. But you can set this right alongside the Final Fantasies, the classic Final Fantasies. You really can. Lunar is a great freaking JRPG series. So I'll be jumping into that as well. But yeah, that's what I've been doing, Steel.
That's pretty damn dope, man. It definitely seems like you've been having a good time. I mean, again, that Atomfall
not as much as I want to, but yeah.
I mean, but again, Atomfall seems to be a game that's like right in your element, so that may make sense with that you're having a good time. But it's good to hear that you're having that good time, because I'm hearing a lot of good up and down things about it, man. It's some performance issue things. You spoke to some of the gameplay issues again, AI being a problem. I mean, we saw some of those things in Sniper Elite as well. It does sound like it's a little bit worse in Atomfall than we saw in Sniper Elite, so that's interesting to see. Maybe this is like their B team. That worked on this game. Yeah, I don't know. But again, I mean, to take that step out there, put this kind of open world game out there, people were comparing it to Bethesda, right? They were saying, hey, this is kind of what we wanted to see from Avowed as well. And that's Obsidian, another high quality team. So I think with all those references and all those comparisons, they're in good waters. I think it's a good thing. And I think it was rated well too. Or I think it was like an 80 or something like that. Or did it end up being lower than that?
I don't know. I think it fell into the 70s eventually, but hold on. Let me double check really. Oh, yeah, let me see real quick. 75.
75. Okay. So 75, 80. Again, I heard you guys talk about a little bit last night. People sevens and eight. Well, sevens like they're bad games. Again, I don't start considering games bad until you start getting into sixes, and even then, depending on your own interest. You have to find the commonality on what the issues are, what people are saying. And there's so much information out there. Again, I got to reiterate the phrase, because I felt like I haven't said it in a while. Know who you are as a gamer. It's going to be very important for this Nintendo conversation that we're going to have as well, because, if it's not for you, you don't have to invest. But as things are going to continue to get more pricey, things are going to continue to get expensive. If this is going to be the runway that is set, you can guarantee I will definitely be more bullish about what I decide to give my time to. But again, I already have enough on my plate as is, and I think a lot of people do. So I think it's going to be interesting to get into. But Paul, you saw that pic I sent you?
Yes, I did. I just gave you the hearts, man. I like it.
Like it?
It's good, brother.
So I got somebody working on a different, essentially upgrading my current logo a little bit. Yeah. It's taking some time to get where we're at with it right now.
It's good though.
A lot of fucking back and forth. I am almost at a point to where, I was at a point where I was just like, maybe this just isn't the artist for me, right? But he ended up pulling out in the back end. So shout out to this artist. When it finalizes and they post it and everything, I'll put a full thing out there. But I do want to show just up front. I don't think they listen to Living Split Screen or anything like that, but I was looking for somebody to possibly just revamp my current character logo. And just add a little bit more uniqueness, a little bit more me to it, and I think we got something. I think we definitely were able to get something together. But I think I'm from now on, I'm going to start piecing together my own like vision first, because when I try to explain it to people, it never translates well. And for me, I'm picky with artists that way, because to me, my belief in artistry, you tell me if I'm a little off base with this, and chat, you get involved as well. For me, an artist is, if I give you if I tell you a vision, it's up to you to bring that vision to life. If I'm starting to bring references and all this extra shit, like maybe I give you a few references up front to give you an idea of, especially if I have my own character already. Here's my character. Here's some additional references. This is kind of what I'm trying to go for. And I feel like off of your first sketch, your first edit, you don't understand what I was kind of go for. That maybe, or if I have to provide additional references, I feel like maybe that kind of limits you as an artist, right? Because I always thought like artists are supposed to be those people, like you go to I guess a tattoo artist would kind of be a bad example, but even tattoo artists, like you taking a design to them, at least for me, like the line that I have on my shoulder here, which I got to get touched up. But when I took him the original art, he didn't just copy the original art. He made it his own. You know what I mean? So it's like when I give somebody references and stuff and I say, hey, make it your own, and the first sketch that you give me is not to my satisfaction, it's like, okay, maybe that I'm going to base your art from that moving forward, right? But there was some clarity. I think this guy might have leveled up some of his own skills as well throughout the process. So we'll see, man. I'm happy with where it turned out. I think it's looking pretty goddamn cool. Pretty goddamn good so far. Knocked down all the elements that I was going for. Wanted to get more of that lion aesthetic in there, a little bit more of the Iron Man. Pull my things in there. Although I did have to pull a little bit of I had to pull the Venom out because I was doing too much. Just doing too much. The symbiote effect was a little too much. But anyway, that's another side tangent. But for me, what have I been into? Not much, again, like I said. I haven't been able to jump into too much. Steel Hunters. Oh, I hadn't played, recently. I did play the closed beta for the game. I've been kind of what you would consider like one of the founders of the game, right? Jumped in early, helped them develop. I didn't give them any like critique outside of controller support, which they did end up implementing. It's a game that's only on Steam, I think, currently, and it's still going to need a little bit more performance work even on Steam. But if you're looking for a mech style battle royale game, feels heavy, I think it's a good example of one that can be a lot of fun. It's kind of mixed ratings right now, but I wanted to kind of put that one out there for people that may be interested in the mech games. If you got it on Steam, it's a good option to try out. It is free to play as well. I think it's worth at least jumping in for an hour and seeing if it's something for you. So I wanted to put that out there because it's getting a little bit of attention, but not as much as I think it should. But it's neither here or there. I still think Mecha Break is the game that I want to play right now, right? With that being mentioned, I tried to jump back into Marvel Rivals, and I bring that up because it's a team-based game. I jumped back into Marvel Rivals because of all the hype for Emma Frost and the updates and everything that are going to be coming, right? They're changing some of the rankings and things like that. Forgot all the specific changes, but it seems like there's going to be some fun things, right? And I enjoy Marvel Rivals for what it is. I think it's a better game than Overwatch. I had more fun with it than I did with Overwatch, and I still wouldn't mind continuing to play the game. But when I get into playing multiplayer games is a sacrifice, right? Because if you're playing multiplayer games, especially the way that I get into them, that's going to be the game that I'm going to want to play for some time, especially if I'm getting into it. It's like, oh, damn, especially when you notice you have to like work on refining your own skill, especially with a game like Marvel Rivals, where you need to learn the characters and you need to learn the maps a little bit, and you need to learn about what to do in these different types of scenarios. Versus a game like Call of Duty, where I could kind of drop in and out and not really think too much of it. If I lose, hey, it is what it is. I'm going for a win, but if I'm not playing Call of Duty every day, you know what I mean? I can't expect to win every single game that I play. So it's more so just approaching that aspect of high competition, but still having fun. But if I'm playing those multiplayer games, it takes me away from my single player games. And I kind of want to just touch on some things to kind of get the juices flowing because I hadn't touched on much. And I hadn't played any multiplayer games in a little bit too. So, but with that being the case, I jumped into there before I got back to jumping into the first Berserker Khazan, because I did end up booting that up. That is the gameplay that's playing in the background for you guys today as well. As you can tell, I'm Pong Soul now, because for whatever reason, when he turns his camera off, it swaps us. It's weird. Anyway, but first Berserker Khazan, as you can tell in the background, that is the game that I've been playing. And first off, this game oozes so much goddamn cool factor. It's outstanding to me. But maybe I'm biased in that fact because, again, you give me a character. If I was going to make a game, first premise of my game, maybe it's because of Devil May Cry, maybe it's because of Darksiders, maybe because of whatever other game, but you give me a game where the main character ends up needing to be possessed by some form of supernatural thing to give him additional power, or have this dichotomy. Again, Shadow of Mordor had that same aspect, had those same aspects, right? Where you have that alternate side of you that is giving you this additional strength, and you kind of have this dichotomy between you and this other force that wants to be, you're trying to figure out what its true intention is while you're still trying to accomplish your goal. Like, I think as a character, again, I know I'm biased in that, but that's one of the, if you want to sell me a game, just tell me you're doing that from the very beginning, and I'm already like, oh, okay, what else are we doing here, right? So that's how first Berserker Khazan essentially starts. Apparently Khazan is that dude. He went to war, fought some folks. The king or whatever said, you're too goddamn strong, I can't be having this, and sliced old buddy up. Old buddy ends up going somewhere like he's about to get executed, essentially, and this demon possesses him. For what we know, demon, evil force. And again, that's all you had to say. I'm already invested. That's all I needed. So now we're progressing, earning more power, finding out more about the backstory and everything. And just overall as well, first Berserker Khazan is a Souls-like game. Point blank, period. There's no running from it. There's no hiding from it. There's no in between. Now, the game does have an easy mode for those who are interested in that. Apparently, I haven't played the easy mode, but when you die the first time, it's either the first or second time, it will ask you if you want to switch, right? That is convenient for people who are into that, right? I could recommend this game to Pong as an example and say, hey, you die a couple times, it's going to give you an option to play on this difficulty, see how that works for you. I don't know if they have that option in the demo, whether that is something that's there, but nonetheless, I'm just playing on the regular difficulty because I don't think you can adjust it other than when you die. So, but the way that it flows, stamina, parrying, dodging, and the use of all three is very impressive, right? Some games, a lot of the times, especially in Souls-like, you'll focus on one more so than a lot of the others. And this game has a flow to it, right? So, and it's also, I find it difficult to say that the game is hard, right? Because I don't perceive it as hard, right? Because even the parry it's not as forgiving as like a Wolong, as a game that I can use as an example, but it's not punishing like Lies of P or Sekiro is. Sekiro is still the hardest Souls game that is out there, if you want to make a comparison, and even that is a little bit more action-like. But if we're going to compare it to that, like, that's the closest I can get. This game is just more so difficult because it does want you to pay attention to what these enemies are doing. And I think that's a huge benefit for here, because one of the things as well is that when you defeat these enemies, you can also fight them again later, like kind of like a training session, and you'll get additional material from them. So it's like when you learn a boss, like traditionally in a Souls game, you're fighting against the boss, you're bumping your head, and then you never fight that boss again. So there's really, like, you did all that learning for nothing, right? Whereas like in this game, if you're going to run into this wall, when you come out of it, one, the boss may probably have some gear for you that you may like and that you can additionally grind him out for, fight him multiple times. And then fighting him multiple times makes it more fun as well, because you've already learned this boss. You know what he's going to do, right? And because they also have a decent health bar, you get to see a variety of their moves. So it's not like, hey, I've been fighting this boss for X amount of time and I've died to the same dumbass move. No, you're probably going to die to a different move. Like, oh, I didn't see that move. Oh, he can do that? Oh, shit, that's different. Oh, shit, he can blink behind me and do some extra shit? Oh, wow. Instead of dodging right here, I was supposed to parry that? Okay, I can see. I think it's a good, I think it's a good, like if somebody was going to move further into the Souls-like genre, I think this would be a good middle ground for people that are interested in that, right? I like, if it was like, hey, what game should I play, Steel? Would it be Wolong, this first Berserker Khazan, or Lies of P? I mean, I would probably suggest Wolong first, because it's probably the easiest out of them. But I could definitely recommend this one as well, just because of how versatile it is, and not only that, it oozes so much of a cool factor. Khazan as a character is very interesting as well. His aesthetic, the character design, they did really good with just making you interested in what this story is trying to present to you. It is very anime in a lot of ways, for sure. So if you're not into that, then that may not be for you. But
do you get different armor and stuff, Steel? Do you get to customize him at all? Okay.
Yes. Right. You get different armor. I don't know if they have a transmog system. Maybe that's something that you unlock later on. I'm still early on in the game, right? I haven't got too far. I'm probably about like a for sure 4 hours in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get different armor, you get loot throughout the levels that you go through. You get different quality of loot as well. I think it all goes all the way up to like purple, maybe even yellow. Yeah, there's set bonuses for the different armor pieces as well. Okay. So it gives you a reason to want to do certain things or fight certain people. Oh, and Oat says if there's a new game plus, then that gives you transmog, then there you go. You get options that way. So Bo says you can have transmog, but you got to beat the game at least once. Okay. See, I'm also interested to see if they change something in New Game Plus, because it has been a while since a Souls game per se actually gave a reason to play their New Game Plus. Because previously, I know I've mentioned this before, but previously, what made the going through New Game Plus enticing in a Souls game is getting the new armor, is getting further upgrades. Like you were still progressing, right? So if that's in this as well, that's going to be very interesting. Let's see. Again, like I mentioned, I did jump back into some Warzone. Played that for a few matches. I probably played, probably about a good 7-8 matches. Caught a dub or two. Yeah, just caught a dub. Had with some randos. Just jump in there, Resurgence, just having some fun. I hadn't played in a few months. So, and again, Call of Duty is like riding a bike, man, especially Warzone. Just the mentality that you're in, moving around, listening to podcasts, hearing people gunfire going off in the background. My head's on the swivel everywhere that I'm going. I'm not even using whatever weapon is the hottest weapon right now, because again, this is the other thing that turns me off about Call of Duty. When I'm playing Warzone, why don't I have access to every single fucking gun that's unlocked? Or even multiplayer, why don't I just have access to every gun? I get leveling them up, that's perfectly fine, but I literally have guns that are locked away. I don't know how to unlock them. I don't really care to find out how to unlock them. Maybe if I play COD some more, I'll find out, but I looked on, because when I do play, I use Warzone loadouts, bro. I'll go online to Google. They have a mobile app for it as well. I will find what's the best weapons to use, and I will build a gun based off of that, because I don't play consistently enough. If there's somebody already doing the work, why would I bump my head against the wall? I'm more so, again, like I've mentioned to y'all before, like Forza. I'm the guy who, just give me a tune. I'll drive the car, right? So it's the same kind of thing in this. Right. Give me the gun. I'm gonna go shoot.
Real quick, Steel, I did jump back into Battlefield 2042.
Oh, I heard.
And I wound up about that. Yeah, and I wound up doing the same damn thing. Normally, I won't do that with the guns, but because it's been so long since I hopped back into 2042, and I was running through matches, and I was using my loadouts that I just had from before, like a long time ago, and I was I mean, I was getting killed. First of all, I was rusty. Yeah, I mean, it takes a little bit.
Really noticeable.
Yeah, but it same thing though. It is like riding a bike after a while. But still, I was having a hard time. I was like, okay, all right, what's ever? I got to know some guns everybody's running because I have a lot of guns unlocked. Right, I'm not going to claim that this is like high level because Battlefield's ridiculous with some people who've been playing, but I'm like level 80 something now or something like that. So I have a lot of the guns unlocked, right? So I was like, okay, what's everybody running? What's the new patches? What have they done? So I did go look them up to your point just to see, and I did get a couple hits. I got a new, there was an SMG that I actually had unlocked that's just stupid. And I don't even have all the attachments, but the minute I started playing with it, I was like, oh, okay, all right. So here, okay, now we're getting somewhere. And just as a side note, anybody who wants to jump back into 2042, it plays fucking fantastic. Now it really does. It's not that it's still not Battlefield from the old days, but damn if it don't play really well right now. It feels really good, and you can find a lot of matches. There's still a lot of people playing that game. Anyways, side note, I was just going to agree with you that I had to do that for Battlefield 2, and it does suck because you know me, I'm not a meta guy. But in those types of games, every once in a while, you do have to look them up just to feel like you got a little bit of competitive spirit to it, because unfortunately that those games do run with metas. So whatever, it's fine.
I mean, yeah, and I get like even in real life, there are going to be guns that are better than other guns per scenario. But again, sure. when you have these live service games and they end up, there's always a question of balance for things as well. And I do miss the era of like OG Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4, where it's just like it didn't matter what gun you used. Like, sure, there were some other guns that were probably better. Like the FAL back in the day was a fucking monster, like ridiculous as a fucking gun. But it still came down to the person using it, right? But just because the FAL was good doesn't mean that somebody couldn't kill you with an MP5, or even though if MP5 was good as well. It was a lot of guns in that game that were just versatile and that were good depending on the scenario and depending on the person using them, right? And there is still some of that in Call of Duty today, but because meta has run the gambit more, and because live service games require people to, again, when you're in a battle royale scenario in classic Warzone style, it takes a minute to load into these matches. You're playing these games. You're playing a match for like 20 minutes to 30 minutes sometimes. Maybe even 5 minutes if you go load in, die, and then got to load in again. So you're just fucking sitting. So it's like if you're not playing consistently to find out whether or not the MP5 hits harder than this gun or the M16 is better than... Unfortunately, I would like some of this shit just to be in game. Right? That's something that I've been more so noticing than anything. Why are we going outside of games to get the information that I need? Obviously, this is a core part of the experience. Obviously, a majority of casuals play this shit. So, hey, Call of Duty, Activision, how about we get with some of these teams that have these sites where you literally have people who have made it their job to test every fucking gun in the game. That's all they do in the fucking game all day. Oh, this is the best gun for this reason with these attachments. It's all they goddamn do all day. Let's reward their time and just put it in the game so more people can have that experience. And then you can get actual data on, hey, what do we need to balance? Why are people choosing this?
Steel, let's take all of that out of this, right? Let's take all... Okay, well, the YouTube people, content creators who do make a living by doing that, Steel, will be pissed at this. But why don't the devs just start having a meta loadout section? If you want to run meta,
that's it. That's all I'm asking.
Just have it right there so you can select it, so the casuals can walk in, go to the meta section, and just select the meta gun. Like, every time they do an update, they know what they're doing with first of all, real quick, I miss the erratic part of the old days, right? And I know I'm not a competitive shooter player, so that to me, I don't mind old days where it was completely erratic, bro, where they didn't do all this fucking balancing. Yes, they did balancing, but we didn't get the constant, like you said, nowadays with games as a service and what they are now, constant patching, constant fixing, constant balancing. Like now it's down to literally they're going in and doing decimal point differences in stats on weapons and shit to try to balance. And I think that is great for the competitive people, for the meta people, for the people that are doing, you need that in a competitive space, right? So you don't have this wild variance in weaponry and all that kind of stuff. That's fine. But when you start doing that, it kind of takes it does. It erases the wild, wild west nature of what you were talking about back in the day, Steel. Where you had dominating guns that a lot of people like to use, but any weapon was pretty much usable on any situation, right? And it was wild. It was erratic. And sometimes that gun would be great in one match, and the next match it felt like it was a completely I'm sorry, I kind of miss those days. I really do. Like this fine tuning and this meta build stuff kind of gets away. But I'm just saying, cut out all of that and just have the devs put in meta builds for the casuals and say, hey, this is based on our new balancing. They could even, like you said, Steel, a little bit watch the community and see what everybody's running with, right? And then just update the meta builds on a daily or weekly basis, update that board so that when the casuals walk in there, somebody who hasn't played in 2 months walks in there and goes, Jesus, I'm getting murdered. You just go to the meta build and you go, oh, okay, this is what everybody's running right now. They could have like a top 10 gun list and go by percentages of what people are using with attachments, right? And just have it all right there for people.
Yeah, I agree. Fahim says, so you want the devs to make it easy. For Fahim, when it comes to online games, especially multiplayer, where things are more... Why does that be hard? But I don't think that's where the difficulty should be in the game. You're already... Right. The difficulty should be you and the other person. You're fighting a other person, not AI. You're looking at the person across from you. And if the only difference is, oh, your gun was better than mine, that's dumb as fuck. That doesn't feel like a good fight. I'm coming this from a PvP perspective. Fahim says, I like the grind. I like to sweat and show off your skills. But but that's my point. The skill shouldn't be, oh, I leveled my gun up, so that's why I can use this gun. Or like he says, earn the guns. I don't think in Warzone, as an example, earning guns should be a thing. That makes no fucking sense. At least to me, that makes no sense. Let everybody have a level playing field. Multiplayer across the board, there's no excuse, should be a level playing field. That's why I will always speak to Halo more than anything, because Halo has a level playing field. Gears is a level playing field. Sure,
there's a massive skill gap.
And that's all that matters.
That's all it is. Yeah, the player.
That is more important. We have gotten away from that, and that's my only main problem with Call of Duty.
Gears is a perfect example, Teal, right? Gears is a perfect example because the weapons are the weapons. The weapons are the weapons. That's it. Straight up, that's all there is to it. What it comes down to is the skill. And obviously, people got the gap going when they learned how to wall bounce, shoddy, etc., and all that kind of stuff. That's where that skill gap and the sweaty part of it came into play. Not just because somebody found out, oh, this attachment plus this attachment, plus this attachment on this weapon gives me this, 0.5 better damage that in an even match all of a sudden kills the other guy faster. Like that is nil in Gears. It's straight up skill, like straight up. That's what it's about.
And I think when it comes to multiplayer, that's all that it should be about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, again, if you want to have your casual multiplayer, that's where you rank up your guns, like Call of Duty has always had. Right, that's fine. If you prestige, you're resetting your ranks. It gives you some challenge, right, as you're leveling back up. There is that thing there. And Call of Duty has always been that way, which I think is fine. But once you get to like ranked, once you get to like Warzone, where it takes time to load into matches, I have to find X amount of people before I can even start. Nah, just level everything fucking out and let everybody be on a level playing field and just have a good time based off of, hey, these are the guns that we have. Who's going to come out on top? Point blank, period. I think that's the way that it should be. So that's just, I know that's more so, that's a me thing, but that's where I come from with multiplayer. The skill shouldn't be, that's why people have an issue with pay to win. Because you can buy a gun, as an example, or buy a weapon or buy armor that's better than armor that you can grind for or armor, whatever else the case, that's stupid. Just make everything across the board kind of middle ground, and then you use your skill to get past that. Nixie says, not saying it's right or wrong, but earning a gun leads to player retention. And I hear that. Like, maybe you give people an option. Again, they give people plenty of fucking options to do everything else. But you have an option to go earn the gun in a different mode. But when it comes to and this is just, it's a me thing more so than anything. Across the board for a multiplayer, it should be a level playing field, and the rest should be about skill. If we have to apply that to only ranked modes, then that's fine. We can only apply that to ranked modes. I can live with that, right? That would be the sacrifice I'd be willing to make, right? Ranked, that's where we get everything even across the board. So, but that's just more so my perspective on it. So, but a little bit of Warzone that I jumped back into. Haste. Haste is a game by Landfall Games. These are the people known for Tabs, Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. Mm-hmm. Haste is a runner. Think Temple Run, but on crack. I put a video out there, and it's actually a lot more than just Temple Run on crack. There's learning the landings and stuff like that. You know, when I don't know if you guys rode like dirt bikes and stuff like that, or like BMX bikes, and you go up a hill. When you're going up a hill, typically if you're falling, you want to come down at an angle so you have the best angle. It can prevent yourself from getting hurt. Or like if you're jumping off of something, if you're jumping off a ramp, you want to come down on the other ramp in a certain way so you have the best transitions and keep speed. That's essentially the focus of this game. It's traversing these worlds that are ending, apparently. You're going through this time lapse or these different dimensions, and these worlds are ending. You are a male person, this male chick, who has this ability that she doesn't know where she got the ability from. She has like this memory loss kind of thing, at least from what I gained from it so far. She doesn't know why she's ended up being this male person, but she is the only person she had ever met before until more recent that was able to do this. So she was just doing it to help people out, right? They get people to meet people from other worlds that they traditionally wouldn't and stuff like that. But anyway, something happened. World is ending. So now she's essentially a runner. Every world is ending. You're essentially running against time pretty much. There's always this corruption that's chasing you. So you have to get out of the levels as fast as you can. Easiest way to get through the levels is, again, going up and down on these hills and making sure that you keep your momentum as much as possible. Because if you slow down your momentum, the corruption is right on your ass. And if you slow down too much, it's going to eat at you. Kind of think of like how battle royales, they have the zone. It works very similar to that. If you get into the zone, it starts doing tick damage. You can get out of it, but you got to pick up that speed. There is a story to it as well. You're meeting other characters. Apparently, this chick has this friend that she's been doing this stuff with as well. Apparently, there's also other people who are very surprised that what she's doing is even possible. Like they don't understand why she has this power, this ability, but they know that the world is ending as well. So it has some cool concepts behind it. But essentially, also think kind of Sonic, how you go through the different levels. You're trying to get through them as fast as possible, get as many rings. It's not as complex where there's emeralds and other stuff to make you stronger over time as you beat the game. But at the same time, there is, because it has some roguelite elements in it. So, right, you'll go through every level, and the different dimensions that you go through have like this pathway of stages, right? You can pick different pathways, and the different pathways will have events. So some of them have like random events where you'll be able to get like a random ability. For an example, you have an ability that lets you put jetpacks, like a jetpack kind of effect on your boots. So boom, you can start moving faster. You slow down too much, you can move faster. Because the other thing too, you're graded on how quickly you get through the dimension. Ideally, you want to get an S every time, though it's not like you just get less points if you get like a D, for an example. But that's essentially the premise. It's a super fucking fun game. It's one of those games where like if I was having a really rough week, it would be easily my go-to right now, just because you can get lost in it. Like how you would feel, just a game that's easy to play, easy to understand, works on you kind of just building off your own path, because there's no right or wrong way. You can tell that hey, I can get better at this, but there's not I need to do this, or I have to do this. Like, nah, it's a very chill game, very cool. But Haste, it just came out. It's on Steam as well. So check that out. But other than that, yeah, man, first Berserker Khazan is definitely going to be my mainstay. I'm going to be jumping back into that before I go back to AC and then end up back into Monster Hunter Wilds. They just had an update that just came out. I definitely want to jump back into there. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with Khazan, man. It's dripping that cool factor that I'm always looking for. It's the type of character that I like, right? Maybe that's just a me thing. And I guess to wrap it up, me and Pong were having some interesting conversations because I saw some people, because the Devil May Cry series came out this week. I think that was this week that it came out to Netflix. And it this week or last week. Anyway, all the episodes are out for season 1 are on Netflix, and there was some controversial stuff going on with it. I'm a Devil May Cry fan. I like Dante. Dante's one of my favorite characters of all time in gaming, just because of his backstory and just who he is as a character and his versatility. I watched about 4 episodes so far. A lot of the controversy I haven't seen yet, right? There are hints of things that are like, I don't know if that was needed, right? There was some of those moments, and when you do the research on, I believe it's Amir or something, I don't have his name on hand, but the creator, the dude who animated it and everything, he's obviously has some controversial stuff. He's the guy who made Castlevania and stuff, the animated series that came to Netflix. I've seen a few of those episodes. They looked really good as well. I heard there's some lore things that kind of he didn't follow, and that's where some of the issues arose. But other than that, as far as just like a show, it looked like it was cool. I haven't watched all of that, but I am 4 episodes deep, and I don't typically watch shows, but because I do have that affinity for Devil May Cry, and I was seeing the conversation, I was like, let me see what people are talking about. So far, 4 episodes in, I'm not seeing it. I'm really interested in what's happening. There's a dude in here. There's some weird things going on, but it's interesting. I want to see more of it. I want to finish the season out to see where they end up ending it at, to see if it's really worth it. Some people are saying some of the stuff is kind of tropey or whatever the case, but again, I mean, Devil May Cry has always kind of leaned into some of that stuff. I don't know. We'll see. I'm enjoying it. I think it's really gruesome. If you like The Boys and stuff like that, it has a lot of that visceral nature to it. Very gruesome, over the top. Again, kind of like what you would expect. And if you don't like this one, please go watch the previous Devil May Cry anime that came out, because that one was fucking outstanding as well. So nonetheless, but that's been kind of my weeks that I've been up to. I need to get back into X-Men. Well, not even back. I need to jump into X-Men 97. But where'd you go? What you got, Paul?
While we're here on the topic of shows, can you, old school anime fan, right?
Yeah.
Old school. I like my old school stuff. Some of the new stuff is okay, right? It's fine. Can you explain to me, other than battle choreography, other than violence, other than the, what do I want to say? Oh, the visceral visual stuff. Why do people like Solo Leveling so much?
I haven't watched all of Solo Leveling, so I wouldn't be able to tell you for sure. The main thing that I could tell you from an outside perspective looking in is the main thing is the cool factor of it, I guess you could say, more so than anything.
That's what I'm curious about. Let me just tell you why I'm asking. I haven't watched it,
go ahead.
Right? But I've watched clips. I've watched clips of it. I've watched clips of it. It sounds like I'm on a new kick, but it's funny. The transition has been quite severe recently, but I'm just saying, like, the story, the writing, the character don't seem interesting at all to me, right? From the outside looking in, again, just from the clips I've seen and the kind of stuff, what I'm seeing is everybody when they post about Solo Leveling, it is the battles.
Yeah, that's how it is most of the time in a lot of anime.
Okay, Dragon Ball Z was very similar to that, but Dragon Ball Z's writing and I mean, again, it depends which Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball is also different in a lot of ways, because that's the thing that bothers me about Dragon Ball. When people talk about Dragon Ball Z and stuff, or people say that Goku's overpowered and all this other stuff, it's like, like you guys literally don't understand. Like, it's not like he got overpowered out of nowhere. You literally saw his training, like his entire progression, his character arc, what caused him to be the character that he is, why he approaches things the way that he does, and who he is as a character. So there's that, right?
But I think it is a generational thing with anime specifically, because I never even thought. Now, again, I've watched Dragon Ball Z. I've probably watched 2 or 3 seasons. Okay. I don't know the universe, and it's the older stuff, right? It's the older stuff. Me and the kiddo used to watch it. It's the older stuff.
You gotta watch Dragon.
I don't know about all of it, right? I'm not even close. But I'm just saying, when I was watching, like, why do people care? Like the whole premise behind Dragon Ball Z, like, why is the argument of the younger generations about who's overpowered and blah, 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 like, why does it even, like, that wasn't the main part of the anime. To me, it wasn't the main part. It was the stories. It was the character development. It was actually all the different beings and their place in this universe and how it all was like, to me as an older watching it, that's what I picked up on. Again,
the interesting concept of this, because I'm pretty sure you've seen stuff like dot hack and stuff like that before, right?
Sure.
The concept in this game or Sword Art Online, the concept of this anime is very similar to that. Jinwoo
solo leveling, you mean? That's what it is.
It's very similar to that. Like Calorie kind of explains it pretty well. That I was going to mention, that was going to be the next thing I got into, to kind of give, again, outside looking in, what I've heard from my brother. Because Calorie says the mystery is we don't know why he's able to level up or what system he's in. Is he in a simulation? It's all a secret. I'm sure it's revealed in the manga already, but the show is good to me. And that is kind of the concept. It is made to, it seems like he is in a game, but they also treat it like it's real life.
Right.
But then they also treat it like real life is something it's separate. That you can, like what he is in currently is like he's trapped in something and there is a way to get out. So that's kind of the essential interest, I guess I would say, is that whole dichotomy of that. Hey, what if you were dropped in a video game world? You don't realize that you were in it. Kind of like that Matrix kind of depiction as well. What if you wake up and realize that you're in the Matrix and now your goal is to find out either you level the fuck up or you're not going to make it out, or your only goal is to like level up and shit to move forward. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah.
Or you get punished. Because that's the other thing too, because this character has a progression as well. Early on, he's not the same character that you saw, like when I sent you that most recent clip when he was fighting Beru or whatever, that ant dude. In the beginning, he's not that dude. He wasn't given a choice. Like, it was either you get stronger or you're going to die, and you don't necessarily know what if you dying is an option. It doesn't treat it that, at least from what I know. Again, I'm on the outside looking in. I only know about so much. Like,
I guess I might have to try to watch it at some time. I'm just wondering if it is.
It's that character progression. This character who's weak and everything.
Yeah, but is it? But is there more substance to it? Because it seems it's the old guy in me, and I freely admit this. You all know this, right? We all swear we're not going to become the old guys, but a lot of us do. It's just the old, like the things that become popular nowadays, Steel, a lot of it to me, when I look at this stuff, is like, it's flash. There's no substance to it. Like, it seems like it's really flashy, right?
It is more about the animation.
It's beautiful. Like, again, the battle choreography is freaking awesome. Like, again, that clip you sent me and the other clips I've watched, like, absolutely. The combat looks ridiculously cool, which was a big draw in Dragon Ball Z. I get that as well. People remember the battles and people rate the battles all the time.
That martial arts fantasy, right?
Yeah. So I get that, but just again, from what I've seen, of other clips of actual like the interactions between characters and the characters themselves, they seem extremely shallow, man. And the writing doesn't seem like it's really that like outstanding. So I was just wondering, and this is again not an pop culture's always been like this. It's just that pop culture's gotten so big in a lot of ways. The stuff that I've had interest in for a very long time, video games, anime, etc. When it wasn't cool. What I see now a lot of days is just shit that becomes extremely popular that all the kids, quote unquote, like. And again, we're not kids, and the people I'm talking about aren't kids. They're in their 20s and 30s. They're just younger than me. It doesn't feel. It feels like it's just all about the spectacle and not the down and dirty stuff that actually catches people's attention. It's about the spectacle of it all. And that's what makes something popular. And I was just curious if Solo Leveling was more than that. And I just want to know if you could tell me, because again, what I've seen, it doesn't look like that.
It's that growth of the characters, seeing somebody start off every week and then seeing how they progress to become who they are in later episodes. It's that whole fantasy.
So it's distilled video gaming down into an anime is like what we've done.
Essentially, essentially.
The leveling loop, the grind loop in anime form is what we're getting. Like that's like,
and you being except tying it to real life. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Right. And that's what I was curious about. I didn't know that there was an aspect to that. Obviously, I hadn't looked into it that deep. Again, I'm just watching all these clips. I'm seeing all these people post about it. So I have watched, but I didn't know that was a part of the story, was that there's an element that people don't know if he's in a simulation or not, or if there is a real life outside of where he is currently, doing all this stuff. Okay. All right, cool. Well, I would
definitely recommend, and I haven't done it either. I would definitely recommend watching at least the first 2 episodes. It's the same thing about like One Punch Man. I'm pretty sure you saw on that one too. That one has the same principle, except that's not a game. That's just his life. And the whole principle of that one is this dude did these athletic feats. Just like 100, I don't know, it was something crazy, 1,000 push-ups a day, on 100 miles a day, or whatever. He was doing that every single day, and he ended up getting this obscene amount of power. And the mystery to One Punch Man is, he literally one punches everybody until you get to a point where he doesn't. And it's like, okay, you end up understanding that he's also holding back. And you're like, okay, well, how strong is this dude really? And that's more so the mystery at that point. And it kind of does become ridiculous and everything. Like, I don't know. It's more so becomes about the fun of it at that point, right?
Right. No, and I get it.
There are some, like Inuyasha, for an example, that have the depth. Or Dragon Ball. Like, when you say Dragon Ball Z, a lot of people have that disconnection with Dragon Ball Z because there is a lot of just over-the-top fighting. But that's why I always recommend, if your most recent memory of Dragon Ball is Dragon Ball Z, go back and watch Dragon Ball, because that is the classic, raunchy, over-the-top 80s and 90s
crazy,
anime.
Wild
we're
shit.
talking about real shit, real
you got comedy,
arts.
you got seriousness, you got everything,
yes.
bro. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
The next closest thing that I would compare that has all of that and does it pretty well, I would probably say is Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer, Bleach, Naruto.
Yeah, Bleach. I've seen some of Bleach. I like Bleach back in the day. I used to watch a little bit of Bleach.
But yeah, stuff like that. There's not I think the other one too that I think does it pretty well is Hell's Paradise. Hell's Paradise has a good story as well, I think. That's interesting, over the top, leads into that 90s aesthetic, right? So yeah, man.
Yeah, I know, Psycho. Go watch it. Psycho, you do like a lot of the more popular, newer stuff too. Like you are into that. You're older like me, but I I will say, like I'm getting all the anime, the digital anime is beautiful, but it's too perfect, if you know what I mean. Steel, it's too clean. I come from that old. I have a hard time watching the new digital anime. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. They can do things that could never have been done back in the day, necessarily hand drawn, but it's too clean. And watching it, like screenshots, amazing, right? But in action, I miss the imperfections of hand drawn anime. I just really do. It gave it character. It's too. I don't know, I guess it would be the same thing as what artists nowadays, digital artists versus hand painted artists, talk about, or even AI now versus human artists, right?
It's
There's
too
some
perfect.
AI makes very clean images and makes very cool, but it misses something. Most of the time you can tell there's something
missing.
missing.
Depth. Yeah.
Right. And with and even though this anime is created, it's not AI. It is created by humans. They are doing it digitally.
Yeah.
They're drawing on a digital art.
Yeah.
It does lose some of that character, that soul, without the imperfections that we used to get in old anime hand drawn. I'm just sorry. When I watch it, I'm just like, God, that's beautiful. But then it's just like, but it's weird to say this about a cartoon. It looks fake. Like, I'm just like, it's too clean. It's too perfect. It's too it's too choreographed. It's every movement. Like
that's why I don't like CGI. That's why I don't like CGI in anime. That shit looks. I cannot fucking stand that shit. That shit bothers me. And the Devil May Cry show does it as well. Yeah. I that shit bothers the fuck out of me because I don't like it. I don't know. It pulls it out of what I'm watching. Like it doesn't feel as connected. Like it feels extra 3D or extra anime. Like I just don't need
it's weird.
It doesn't come across.
Yeah, the original Trigun is amazing. Psycho by Trigun.
Yeah, the original OG Trigun. Outstanding.
Oh,
Bash the Stampede is dope.
Yeah.
Same thing with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. If you haven't watched that, you gotta watch that. Brotherhood, Brotherhood specifically, because they got two versions of Full Metal Alchemist.
Writing though, but talk about story writing. That you got that
immaculate start to fucking finish. Dark. Yeah. Very understandable. There's one part with the dude and the dog, bro, and his fucking daughter that will always live with me for the fucking rest of my life because it's one of the most disturbing shits that I could ever imagine somebody doing. Where the dude fucking essentially transmogs his fucking daughter and his dog together. I'm like, hey, yo, what in the entire fuck is this sick motherfucker doing? But you're living in a world of alchemy where people are trying to. There's other sick shit that's going on that there's easily accessible to. Like it's just that whole process, the shit that's happening behind the scenes, the duality of the fucking 7 sins or the different sins and shit, what they represent. That show is so fucking good. God damn. The idea of you making a deal with this other entity and you have to. There's a give and take. Sure, I could give you that, but I'm gonna take your arm. Sure, I could give you that, but I'm going to take your brother's body. I'll give his soul. His soul can stay. I'll put it in a metal suit. But that's fucked up. And then your life's goal is to see if you can get your brother's body back. Holy shit! It's
that's what I'm saying. It is deep. And not that. Look, there was a lot of cheesy ass anime back in the day too, of course. You can go find it all, right? It's not like I'm sitting here talking about, oh my God. But that stuff, again, the popular stuff back in the day was your Akira's, was your Ghost in the Shells, right? What was your Wicked Cities. This was very mature, movie-like writing, acting, etc., wrapped in anime. Right. And it was it's a reason why it's timeless and it's a reason why it's out there. It's just a lot of the stuff I see nowadays. I just go, it's not even close to the same level, man. It's great. It's beautiful. It's flashy. It's got great, battles and all this kind. It's just, it does lean into those things more nowadays for sure. I can admit that. And again, solo leveling is probably is pretty good from what I've heard story wise as well. Yeah. But it is one of those things like when you just see stuff from it, you're like, I can see what you're saying. Cool. It's cool, right? Yeah. I just don't know why it's so big and popular. That's what I'm always curious about is what ignites that. Because back in the day, the stuff that was big and popular did have depth and it was about the story. And I'm not saying everything nowadays doesn't have that. There's obvious examples in Steel. You just listed off some that are deeper and that do have that, more current day visuals as well and more visual flash. It's just when I see this stuff pop up and everybody's talking about it nonstop, and solo leveling has been the one, like it's the greatest thing ever. And I'm watching these clips and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, the battles are cool. Like, yeah, it's freaking awesome. But is that all this is? Like, that's what we're doing now? Like, that's all it takes to get this big?
It's because of the video game trope most of the time. But then there's other shows like Demon Slayer. That's the main thing that does carry Demon Slayer. This is because of how well the art style is done. I mean, the story is cool. Again, the main premise being a brother trying to protect his sister who's a demon. right? And trying to find out if there's a way to make her human again. Like that concept is, I think that does carry a majority of the story, at least, especially when you watch it from the beginning, having a dog. Like I can just imagine that being having a brother. I can also imagine that if my brother ever became a demon, one of my number one goals, if he was a little kid, would be, damn, I need to find out how can I make my fucking brother human again? What do I fucking need to do, bro? Like, what is my next, so just trying to find that semblance. I don't know. There's some dichotomies you can find and stuff in there, but it's good stuff. And again, cool. I cried. I drew some tears on God Emperor Sofa King says, bro, Demon Slayer made people cry. Yo, when Rengoku had his fight against the one of the folks, that shit made me tear up. That shit was good shit. It was good stuff. So shout out to Rengoku. Anyway, Paul, get the chat shouted out.
Let's get this chat shouted out. Hey, welcome everybody. Just a cool little hour and a half intro. You know how we do around here. It's been a couple Saturdays, so if you've forgotten, that's me and Steel, and we went on a side tangent about anime. I mean, again, this is what we got going on here today. And every Saturday. So thank you all for joining Living Split Screen again. Great to be back with y'all. Love to see everybody coming back in to the chat again. I know it's tough out here, man, especially when you take some weeks off and you got some inconsistency, man. People, there's lots of places to go, but we're all glad that you're here visiting us again today on Living Split Screen. So let's shout out this chat. Lydian Master, what is going on? It's glad to have you guys back. It's glad to be back, sir, and glad to see you in here joining the show. We got Tim, the Sorcerer. What's going on? Tim, the Sorcerer says, we did not forget. Thanks, Tim. I know we make it hard to forget since we do it every Saturday most times. God Emperor Sofa King. What's up, God Emperor? Great to see you in here, brother. We got the Psychonauts, brother from another Psychonauts in here holding down the front line at GameStop. Week in, week out. Thanks for being here, Psychonauts. Appreciate you jumping in, brother. We got the Ron Slusher in the house. What's going on, Ron? Great to have you a part of the show. The one and only Nixie. What's going on, Nixie? He says now it's cat ears and bunny tails. Yeah, there's a lot of that. There was some of that back in the day too, though. I ain't gonna lie. There was a lot of anime back in the day that was like that. But what's going on, Nixie? And again, just real quick, Steel, you guys were bringing up emotional times too. The first time I ever cried during anime, I was really young. Robotech. Robotech honestly hit me. I remember my mom still going, they were trying to talk to me and I was so wrapped up in Robotech. And Lin Min May, you guys probably know the story, but anyways, if you watch Robotech, but I was so wrapped up in it, I wasn't paying attention to the family and they were like trying to get my attention. It was, it was crazy, but I still remember tears in my eyes from that. And obviously it's happened after that point, but yeah, man, that's the kind of stuff that I love that era of anime. So anyways, who else we got in here? Psychonaut says, go watch Ghost Stories. It's so bad. It's good. Oh God. I don't know if I can do that. I don't have the time for those bad things anymore. The Sly Crow is in here. What's going on, Sly Crow? Great to see you, brother. Always jumping in here, joining the show. We got the Fahim Scott. Yeah. Evangelion. Evangelion is a great series as well. Absolutely, Fahim. Love it. Let's see here. Who else we got in here? We got the Nam Omar. He says, Pong is in the get off my lawn stage with anime. I'm in the get off my lawn stage with a lot of shit right now, Nam. Again, you never think you're going to wind up being that person, but my dad was correct. He's like, no matter how much you try to fight against it, as you get older, shit that you fell in love with is going to change or disappear. And if it changes, you're going to hate it. And if it disappears, what replaces it is not going to live up to what you loved about the other stuff that did disappear. So he always told me that, and I didn't understand it. Just like he told me that as you get older, you start losing the people that you grew up with, as far as movies, TV, and that gets harder and harder. And obviously Val Kilmer this week, rest in peace, Godspeed, good sir. That is also true, right? And as kids, we don't listen to our parents all the time when they give us advice or tell us things like that. But I'm realizing he was spot on about a lot of shit. So back in the day. So yeah, I've been in that spot for a long time at this point. But appreciate you being here, brother. RSJ fan, what is going on, my friend? Thank you for being a part of the show and stopping in here. The one and only Calorie Calorie is here. What's going on, Calorie? Great to see you, brother. We got the M. Gene, what's going on, M. Gene? Great to see you. Calorie says, Pong, it's one of my few clean animes, quote unquote clean animes, I can watch with my 10 and 6-year-old sons. For that reason, it's worth watching. The fact that each episode is a piece of art makes it my favorite anime right now. That's very cool, Calorie. I might give it a shot at sometime. I might give it a go, just to kind of see if I can find something that really, grabs me, right? Like I was saying, that it's not just all the flash. So I might give it a try, Calorie. Let's see here. Who else we got in here? Let's go. Decado, of course, is in the house. What's going on, Decado? Great to see you, brother. Says Pong, kids, you mean you drank from the water hose and bottle rocket fights as kids? Yes, those kids. That's who we were, Decado. 100,000%. Who else we got here? We got MF. Great. What's going on? MF says, whoa, it's not all about the battles. Okay. Good to hear it. I'm glad, again, Steele brought some of that in here. So if it is deeper than what I'm seeing and it is better, then I will give it a go. I'm not against trying to do that, obviously. You guys know that. I will try new things, even if up front I'm just like, it's probably not going to be for me, just to see. Right? I knew Dragon Age Inquisition probably wasn't going to be for me, but I still tried it just to see if I could get into it. And, obviously not. So, anyways, who else we got in here? Oh, we got the legendary Yobi, the one and only legendary Yobi, Mr. Positive himself. Love you, brother. Thanks for jumping in here. Member for 17 months says hashtag peace, love, life. Love y'all. LSS is the best. Thank you, Yobi. You are the best, brother. And you make this show even better. I know there were some super chats. Hopefully Steele grabbed those super chats because I did not get an opportunity to. So hopefully he did get a chance to grab those.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, cool.
I got y'all.
Perfect.
I had to go get some water, a little bit more coffee, get my day and my morning started.
Man,
you know how things are going.
Oh, Alpha Wolfpack, I see you in here. What's going on, Bold Alpha? Great to have you part of the show as always, sir. Rescue Squad Culp, I see you jump in here. Oh, Eastside Vandal checking in, raising his hand. Thanks for lurking, Eastside Vandal. Appreciate you, brother, always being here as well. You sound like you got chopped in the throat while you're gone. Is everything okay?
Whoa, who got chopped in the throat?
That's what it sounded like. You when you came back, you were a little hoarse there. It sounded like you.
Oh no, I was just
shot.
Probably because I was just away from the mic.
Okay, all right, cool. Well, I'm glad everything's okay.
Everybody,
whether you maybe, hey, everybody, appreciate you being here. Whether you're lurking, whether you stop in for 5 minutes, or the entire time that we are live, you guys all know that. Whether you're listening to us in the future, it does not matter to me and Steele. Again, just nothing but love and respect to each and every single one of you coming out and joining us today. Appreciate you all for being here. So
let me get those supers that Joe mentioned. We had the Sly Crow coming in with the Canadian $2. He says, or excuse me, to Canadian 2 bones. He says, Splitters, I'm done with Nintendo. PS3 gen for $70. Then we had 108 Dragons TV dropping off the 108 bones. He says, good morning, my gaming community. What's going on, 108? Appreciate you coming through. Yobi, the member for 17 months. I think I heard you say that one again, but I'll say it again for you guys. He says, peace, love, life. Love y'all. LSS is the best. And if you haven't noticed, I got that LSS snapback on, looking good, looking groovy, feeling good. The branding is looking immaculate. And actually, this is actually a prototype. I've changed this design since to where the living splits, where the living is a little bit bigger under the LSS. So, but interested in that, the gear and everything is in the store. That is in the description below on the YouTube if you guys want any of that. So there is that, and I did post some shots of the living split screen shirts and
looking great,
with the motto and everything on the back. Those I'm very impressed with how those turned out. Although, if we end up making some decent money, that's one of the first things that I'm going to look at, because I don't like the screen printing that they did on there. It's not going to be a long-lasting screen print, right? It's one of those where I'd want to send a message out with a card that says, hey, delicate, wash inside out, all the good stuff, so you don't mess up the vinyl that they use. You can tell that they didn't use the vinyl that I would prefer my product, but it's a starter. It's a start. I think I'm happy with how they've gone so far. So, all right. And yeah, I got him, Yobi. Don't worry. I'm signed into the account and everything.
Oh yeah, I see that now. I did not even notice that. So thank you. I know that now I got that in the future. Thank you.
And Fahim says Hunter x Hunter is cool. Yeah, I like Hunter x Hunter. I liked it a lot. I think the Chimera Ant arc that people were talking about or always referenced to was overrated as fuck. Just to be completely fucking honest, that shit was whack as hell. I mean, I'm not gonna say it was whack. It was still good, but again, man, you try to go into things off of other people's hype, and it's just like, bro, this isn't it for me. At least I've seen better than this arc. But hey, all right. Well, it is time for us to get into some games. We're already been about 90 minutes in, and we've been talking about nothing but what we've had going on. We had some anime talks, we had some gaming talks about what we've been playing, and I think that's how these shows should go. You should be talking about what is happening in these gaming streets for you, what you've been diving into, what's been neck deep for you. Get some real life conversation in there as well. But I think one of the important topics to get into just off the top has to be the Nintendo conversation. And I think what I'm going to do is actually pull in an article from Jez Corden where he says the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal reminded me of how much I take my Xbox for granted. And I kind of like the way he titled that. But if you're not familiar, Nintendo this week did do an additional Nintendo Direct. This one more so focused on the Switch 2. And to be completely frank, just give you some of my thoughts and opinions up front. I didn't think the Direct was bad. I still think the Direct was at about a 7 for me, give or take, right? Some of the upgrades, I think Metroid Prime did show well, but I don't recall playing a Metroid Prime since the OGs, like 1 and 2. I'm not caught up on that. So I would have to play the other Metroid Primes, for me to have interest in this one. Not only that, watching that trailer, I did get a lot of Halo vibes from it. And it's like, damn, well, I've played a game similar to this, although it's not Samus. So I get that aspect of it. But if I wanted to give it a knock, maybe it was that they didn't lean enough into Samus's art style or that world's art style. But we'll see how that game turns out. I'm pretty sure it'll still be good. She can still turn into a ball. So there you go. There's that traversal side of it. And I do think Mario Kart was also very interesting, the way that it displayed. Now, I've kind of, I'm not gonna say I've fallen out of love with Mario Kart, but Mario Kart, it doesn't hit for me the way that Mario Kart did back in the day. I'm pretty sure that I can still have fun with it. And for lack of a better way to put it, those games do tend to be a little bit on the easier side of things and just don't necessarily have my interest like that. Now, when you go online, that does seem like where it could be fun, and I think that's the biggest avenue where Nintendo is missing the chance of having that game on PC, at least as an example, because I do think that there to be Mario Kart would be undeniable. If you put Mario Kart on all platforms, there would be no competition. I like, and that's what's so crazy to me, because there's such an unlimited potential for the amount of money that Nintendo can make off of one IP, especially going into it being in 2025. That, like, they need to expand things out. But to be real, I'm probably gonna do the new Sonic racing game before I jump into a Mario Kart again. But with that being said, it still look good. Open world racing, Horizon-like. If you want to make it that Forza Horizon-like, if you want to put it that way, where you could kind of drive anywhere you want to, go to different tracks, meet up with people. The other thing too that really threw me for a loop is them advertising game chat the way that they did. The first thing that I thought was, hey, well, welcome to the fucking 20th century. God damn. It's 2025 and game chat is the biggest feature that you can announce here. Interesting. Though, when they were showing off game chat, I was somewhat impressed by the whole video chat side of it as well, because I thought at first it was going to be Discord. I was waiting for the announcement. Oh, Discord integration, because it was set up very similar. It's not that. It's their own implementation. It was also running sub 5 frames per second. That's not the way that shit should be demonstrated. To me, that was another sign that was something else that people completely overlooked. I didn't see anybody mentioning how the performance looked of the features that they were trying to sell you on looked in action as they were talking about it. They were playing games and trying to show gameplay from other people's screens, and these people were next to each other. Showing gameplay from other people's screens, that was choppy as fuck. What are we doing? This is okay from one of the big gaming publishers to show your features this way? Nobody's talking about this. Everybody's completely ignored the performance of the shit that they were doing during that goddamn show. And that's something I'm probably going to have a tangent about. So I want to get into, have Pong kind of be my springboard. But other thing too, after I get into the article and everything, because I want to see the angle kind of Jez takes as well. The other thing too is the whole camera feed function. Again, 2025, and I get why Jez says the Switch 2 reveal reminds him why he takes his Xbox for granted. We were just here, and everybody said that how this is not something that they wanted. Now, as an option,
Steel, you're gonna have to look at the DM I just sent you too. So we can add it to what we're going to talk about. I'm just sending you one right now because we just got confirmation. So I just wanted to throw it in there so we'll be able to talk about that in addition to as we go through the Nintendo stuff. But I just wanted to make sure you see it.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna bring that up too. Hold on. Jesus fucking Christ, bro. Okay. The camera function. We were here already. I get that it's an option. Xbox did it. When they did it, was forced. But people also over time said that that's not something that they necessarily cared for. Now when Nintendo's doing it, and it shows, the number one thing, again, it just goes right back to performance for me. You're showing a hardware and you're showing shit that is not performing well. It doesn't look good. It doesn't make it more attractive. None of that. And this is how you're showing it to me. Like you're excited about it. Like this is what this is what I should be hype about. And it's some bullshit. Because who's doing this stuff? And again, I'm not speaking to the few people that are out there are like, oh man, well, I'm going to use all of it every day with all of my buddies. But this goes right back to who's managing this shit? We're going to go right back to the Uno days of people hanging out in chat, webcam on, doing their thing in the camera, all kinds of crazy stuff going on. We're going right back in time. Yo, shout out to Nintendo for taking it back in time. They were wanting to keep it raw to cut. I tell you what, boy, they leaning into what they do good over there. You want to hear a company that's got some questionable games on their market, boy, that's one to look at. Maybe that's why they put the camera in there for all those Q waifu and beastie games you got over there. Never mind that. But the camera, man, that was another thing. I had to laugh at it because I saw some people kind of speaking up against it, but people are interested. Like, man, this is innovation. That's great. Man, this is something I'm possibly gonna use. Okay, cool. Out of all things that interested, out of all of those things, the additional add-on as well was the charging for the upgrades for their games. But that's neither here or there because we already have companies that have been doing it, right? They've kind of set the stage and set the expectation for that. I still disagree against it. If you get better hardware, you already own the game. You should be able to play the better version of the game. You shouldn't be charged for that. Point blank period. There's no excuse for it. The most egregious thing across the board was them not including the game that is like Astro's Playroom that shows off what your device can do. Why is that not built into the hardware? Why is that even if it's not built in, why is it not free for you as a Nintendo Suite user? So you can learn more about your device. That's the intention of it. Why are you charging people for this? I don't care if it's $1. Why are you charging people for this? They've already bought the device. You have a game that essentially goes through all the functions of the device. This kind of goes hand in hand with each other. It's dumb as fuck. It's super egregious to me. I don't like it. It's dumb. But the nail in the coffin was them announcing $80 digital games and $90 physical games. I don't care what anybody says. I would not stand behind these companies, especially Nintendo, feeling like they can raise their games above the price of $60. Point blank, period. There's no excuse. You had the most successful console generation. You have proven that you are probably the only platform that can pull the amount of traction that you can. Matter of fact, I will still to this day stand behind the idea that I feel Nintendo can go full third party and people would still buy the Nintendo hardware at volume just because this is Nintendo. Just because of the ease of access. Just because. Like, they're the number one company that if they did it, it would work for them flawlessly. It wouldn't even be a question. They could release all their games on every platform tomorrow and everybody would still buy the Switch. Guaranteed. Because the people who are buying that hardware see the use case for that hardware. Not everybody, most of the people who buy a Nintendo Switch are not Pong, myself, who play that bitch in dock mode. That's not the use case. So those people are going to get the experience that they want regardless. But paying $80 and $90 for video games, look, this isn't even collector's editions. This is standard edition of games. A standard edition of games that are not even of today's standard. They're of Nintendo standard. Which I don't think is acceptable enough. The upgrades that they did to Breath of the Wild or whatever the fuck, that's not substantial. Wow, I can play at 60 frames now. Cool, man. I guess. That was supposed to happen by default. But then you're charging for them. Like, you had so many opportunities to do the consumer-friendly thing and continue to prove to people why you are gaming's top echelon or why people should look at you a certain way. You had the most runway. You releasing this device and the more information we're getting from the device as well, you're not even where we thought you were going to be. People are hoping that this device is PlayStation 4 Pro levels. Pong, it's amazing the games that we are all of a sudden going to be able to play on the Switch 2 when the Series S has been a fucking problem. And this device is not even on the Series S doorstep. But we got Cyberpunk coming. Lord Jesus. We got miraculously, this Bloodborne 2 successor can be on a Nintendo Switch 2. Oh, we authorized for that one. We made sure. Meanwhile, the games looked like they were running sub 30 frames. Mario Kart was the best presenting game at the show. Some of them other ones, they looked choppy. They looked off. It looked like everything else during the show. It didn't present well. I give it a 7 based off of the games that they showed. They do have things there. But outside of that, that's just in the trash for me. At this point, I do legitimately feel, if you're giving Nintendo your support, you cannot speak to what is good for the consumer. Because you don't believe in that. Truly. If all the moves you've seen from Nintendo so far, including this next piece that I'm going to give you as well, because this was supposed to be Nintendo's, like, one of the biggest reasons why we buy Nintendo physical games was because of this. But ladies and gentlemen, this just dropped from Wario64 at 10:12 a.m. as of today, April 5th, 2025. According to a Nintendo UK support rep, Switch 2 editions of physical games like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Metroid Prime 4 contain a download code for the upgrade pack along with a Switch 1 version cart of the game. And then it goes on to say, according to Nintendo's own support, the Switch 2 Enhanced Editions were false advertising during the Direct. After trying to nail them down for an answer, they confirmed to one of our followers, it's just Switch 1 cards with a code for the upgrade. No reason to buy these then. So this is false advertising. It's, again, something else that it's not what they showed. And nobody is speaking to that. But Jazzpool goes into this article here where he says, the Nintendo Switch reveal reminded me of how much I take my Xbox for granted. Regardless how you feel about Jez Corden, I do think Jez does good work overall. And again, it's an article piece, something to give us some basis. All right, so he goes into, and I think did I highlight the section? All right, he says, what I felt after watching the Nintendo Direct was, well, a tad bemused, excuse me. A device that might have been impressive performance-wise a few years ago with new features that are available today on competing products, while also pushing the industry to adopt up to $90 games as a standard. It simply reminded me of how much I take my Xbox for granted. Goes on, $90 games are going to become the norm, but not for me. He said, perhaps the biggest controversy of the Nintendo Switch 2 argument is the revelation that Nintendo's flagship games will retail for $80. That's a huge markup from the $70 standard today, and will push games over $100 in some territories due to currency conversions, tariffs, and whatever else. As someone with no nostalgia about most of Nintendo's franchises, there's not a universe that exists where I feel Kirby, Mario Kart, Pokemon, Zelda, or whatever else is worth $80. He says, I've paid over $90 for collector's editions for the few franchises I adore, like Diablo, World of Warcraft, The Witcher, and the like, but the standard version with no additional content or merch, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate has every single recent Microsoft property available, as well as Xbox Cloud gaming access, premium extras, and free-to-play games, PC Game Pass included, hundreds of third-party games, and so much more. Then he gives an example of Paris putting out a post that says, saying that games were $100 in the 90s isn't a reason to justify prices steadily rising in 2025, especially when our salaries aren't rising as well. Gaming shouldn't be an elitist hobby. I'll argue value for consumers every time. Now, this, I will 100% stand by. I 100% stand behind. If the argument that you're going to present to me is inflation, and that's why we should be paying the price of the games that we do, you can just sit your dumb ass in a corner. That is sure. Could you excuse it that way? Yes, but that does not include any of the nuances and other shit that has happened since comparing it to the 90s as of today. Via production costs, via the product that we get as the end user, via the additional production time that is needed for a lot of these games that are put out there, the bloat that is put out there, there's so many other things that need to be discussed and talked about that are nuances to why the price should not be what it is. We're still wondering about digital ownership, which is in the 90s, you had ownership of that game that you were playing. Today, that's not the case. We still haven't figured what we're going to do with that. But they can charge us whatever dollars they want to charge us. Nah, man, certain things don't add up. And then you look at the value of some games versus the other games, and you see like, okay, there's a lot of talent issues that are happening in the industry right now as well. A lot of things to get into, man. A lot of things to get into. He says Steam is also consumer first with its approach to pricing, with notoriously generous sales events and generally lower standard costs for premium games. Although some publishers have been making an effort to match that. Nintendo games are notorious for almost never going on sale too. So you're talking about $80 to $90 games that 10 years later they're going to be the same fucking price. You don't see the issue with that? You don't see how that is anti-consumer in a lot of ways? That doesn't really speak for the gamer in a lot of different ways? Beyond the point of purchase price, every modern Microsoft game comes with Xbox Play Anywhere as standard, meaning that you can buy it once and get a version playable across both console and PC. More and more, those games are being greenlit on Xbox Cloud games as well. You get so much more for your $7 premium purchase of an Xbox game, maybe even for PlayStation as well, than you do for an $80 or $90 Nintendo Switch game. Although, let's be real, if Nintendo makes this the standard entry price for premium games, it's only a matter of time before Xbox, PlayStation, and other publishers follow suit. In that world, Xbox and PC Game Pass become an even more attractive options. Though reminding me how much value we're actually getting, it's easy to take that for granted. The Switch 2 is supposed to come with a $499 bundle that comes with Mario Kart World and will most likely be the stock that most retailers carry. There's also going to be the $449 option without a game, but and he goes on to say, but as of writing, the Xbox Series X 1 terabyte is $40.39 at Amazon, making it an even cheaper get. Again, Nintendo Switch 2 is a handheld that can be docked. The Xbox Series X is a home console. It's very different things that those devices can be doing. And for that price point, I do think that it is enticing still. I don't have a problem with the console price of the Switch 2. I have zero problem with the console price. I do have issue with why doesn't it come with an OLED standard? What are we doing? You already have a Switch OLED. Why not just carry that over? Tells me you're going to release an OLED version of the device. Okay, that's fine. Maybe that's going to be your almost $600 device. That's asinine if you ask me, especially for the performance metrics that we're finding out more and more information about. Also, I think from what we're finding out as well is that the battery life on the Switch 2 is only going to be about 2 to 3 hours, depending on the type of games that you're playing. And I can guarantee you, if you're playing Cyberpunk, that bitch is not going to last 2 hours until they do further optimization to the device. And yes, Vandal mentions Steel's the Switch 2 price is going to go up because of tariffs. Probably, which is going to make the device even more expensive. But again, at $449, I don't have a problem with the price of the hardware. I have some things that pull me away, right? Because of what they have shown me. But I don't have a general problem with the price. But Pong, I've talked enough. I've even given some of my grievances just up front for what I've had from the direct. Based off of Jez being reminded of how much he might take his Xbox for granted after watching the Switch 2 reveal, what did you pull from the direct? Did you see some of what I was mentioning as far as performance goes and how things were presenting themselves and how those can be detracting factors? Because again, traditionally in the past, I felt like these companies did a little bit better. I mean, Xbox did the same with Halo, right? Halo Infinite didn't show off well. I feel like in the past, we used to get things that are presented well, especially on a hardware front. I can't tell you the last company that was showing off hardware or showing off a feature and it didn't look smooth. It looked like it needed more work. How are you feeling about, now that you've actually sat with it for some time? I know you've talked about it with a few folks now at this point as well. How are you feeling about it now after hearing my thoughts on it and after getting Jess's take as well?
Where to begin? Again, this was a roller coaster. And again, I didn't get to watch because I was at work. So I didn't get to watch the show with virgin eyes and ears, right? So I kind of saw the after the bombs that dropped afterwards. I got to see, some of the highlights. I got to see people talk about what they had announced. So I didn't get to go into the show with, completely innocent, and not knowing what was going to come out afterwards, from Nintendo. So, as you all know, the Switch to Nintendo, it's the first time in decades that I've had any interest in purchasing Nintendo hardware. Any interest. And it was because of, obviously, I told you all, backwards compatibility. And obviously the other big part was being able to dock and have, a 4K or, good, let's just say good resolution on my big screen, because that's how I'd be playing the Switch if I were to buy a new Switch 2, because I wouldn't be doing a whole lot of handheld gaming. So I wasn't ever interested in the Switch because of the handheld part of it. You also all know at this point that I'm not a Mario Zelda guy. I don't care about the classic, for the most part, classic Nintendo IPs at all. So that's not even a selling point to me. Metroid Prime is the only real one out of the classics right now that I have an interest in. It is more about some of the RPGs like Fire Emblem, Xenogears, etc., that I didn't get to play anywhere else that are on there, that I had an interest in going back and be able to play those games, plus having the option to play new ones that would be hopefully coming, which we know some are being built around that. So, but this is the first time in decades that I had actually interest in doing something Nintendo, and it wasn't going to be this year. It wasn't going to be day one. I told you guys that a long time ago with everything I got going on. It was going to be next year, once I got settled in, that I would probably go back and, pick one of these up. So I had to kind of remove myself when I watched the show to look at the direct itself without, kind of having the information afterwards influence how I would have felt about the direct. And I did that. And just looking at the direct itself from Nintendo, I thought it was a good showing. I heard people complaining, well, this wasn't as, Nintendo didn't have their big innovative moment that they normally have, like, this big reveal of some new feature or the device being different in some way than anything we've seen before. I don't care about that. We knew what the Switch 2 was going to be. And again, this is coming from a non-Nintendo fan. So again, just take that all as it is. I didn't care about that. What they presented was interesting to me. What they presented, showing off the system, again, whether or not I've ever used the Joy-Con as a mouse, because I'm not a big mouse guy anyways. It's interesting. It's cool, right? It's cool. It's a cool concept. And the option for people to play a game like Metroid Prime 4 in that manner is awesome. Yeah.
Let me throw this in there at you as well, because the first thing that I thought about when they announced those mouse features and those Joy-Cons was like, if anything, that tells me that they may be making PC plays sooner than we may even think, because other than that, again, the idea of it is cool or whatever, but there has to be a deeper intention there.
There could be. What it is going to be cool for, Steels, for third parties that do RTSs like World's Edge, like Age of Empires coming over there. That will be dope as hell. That's the first thing that I thought. I was like, oh shit. Well, God, Xbox has got to be salivating right now. I mean, they've done a great job with our controllers, what we know as our controllers, right? And getting all the controls. I've talked about this. World's Edge is phenomenal. Like, they've converted that to the controller, but the Joy-Cons would present a little bit of a challenge, I think, in the way that they're used. However, if you're going to put Age of Empires over there, and now the Joy-Cons can become a mouse, oh shit, now you got the perfect RTS setup. When's if Blizzard decides to bring World of Warcraft to Switch 2? Yo, much easier than getting it on controls. Like, if they're going to make that an option, I think it's fantastic. So I was cool with that. Right. And I thought it was a dope idea. And I was like, okay, whether or not I ever use it doesn't matter. I think that's cool. So I thought the overall presentation showing off the games like they did. I did see an update or upgrade, I should say, in Metroid Prime. Again, this is all through YouTube. This is all compressed. This is all whatever. But I did think I saw that. And I definitely think the first presentation that we saw of Metroid Prime 4 back a while ago at the other direct was from the Switch 2 version, because that's what it looked like to me. Because I saw that the regular Switch version, and I was like, that ain't impressive, man. I don't know what, but this one definitely looked better. So I was good. I was like, okay, that looks good. I'm excited to play Metroid Prime 4 and stuff like that. Backwards compatibility confirmed. Cool. Memory could have been a little bit better. 256 gigs.
Yeah, that's still crazy. 512 at least, bare
512
minimum.
at least nowadays. Yeah,
Ooh.
whatever. But screen size update to 7.9 inches. Awesome.
Almost
LCD.
8, yeah.
Okay, well, I figured Nintendo would do that. I wish they would have gone OLED out the gate, but of course they're going to sell us an updated version of that down the road. This is Nintendo. Again, another bullshit, greedy ass corporation, just like everybody else. So whatever. Okay, they're going to give me an LCD. They talk about HDR. Cool. Awesome. They talk about the DLSS, you know, all that kind of stuff. They didn't really give us specifics, but okay, cool. We knew all this kind of stuff. So I was in. They talked about the dock, right? 4K, 60 locked. Fine, whatever, but 4K 60 live. There was a rumor that it wasn't going to be 4K output. They confirmed that it is 4K output. Okay. All right. Concern, dismissed. Great. Perfect. Up to 120 frames. If you are going to play in handheld mode. Okay, good. That's great. I'm all about it. So I just think overall the direct itself was good. If it solidified the fact that I was going to, pick up a Switch 2 down the road. Right. And I was like, okay, they answered all my questions that I really need answering. Was everything perfect 100%? No. Right. Again, but I didn't expect it. And I was okay with what they showed. So I was like, all right, cool. Price point. Fine. Again, like you still, I don't have a problem with the price point. I think it's a good price point. It's not overly, no, again, could there be a couple things here and there? Sure, but $450. Obviously the 500 bundle with Mario Kart World is a deal now that we know what the price of Mario Kart World is going to be. That's a deal. Yeah. So don't have an issue with the price. I think it's a good price point for the handheld and for the performance that they're offering, right? I think it's cool. So I was all good still. And so I think the Direct did the job that it did. It presented first-party titles. I think the first-party title lineup, I will give its criticism. This is not the best first-party title lineup that Nintendo's ever shown for a launch of a system. I think it could have been much better. I'm actually a little surprised there isn't more new first-party stuff here. We all talked about and knew, and I'll give the same criticism to PlayStation. Like, we knew the remasters were coming at this point. We knew that they were going to do this upgrade thing. We knew that was going to be a part of Nintendo's pitch. I don't give them credit for it at all. Like, so when I look at their launch lineup, Metroid Prime 4, the Donkey Kong game, and Mario Kart World. That's what we've been. Oh, and Kirby's, the Kirby one too. Oh God, I hate that little pink fucker. Anyways, and the Kirby Skate or whatever, I forget what Borders or whatever the hell it is. 4 games, and no big Mario game, right? I think they could have done better. I think that this isn't the launch lineup that I'm used to from Nintendo. Now, they do have the remasters and upgrades, and a lot of Nintendo fans, again, they're not talking to me. I'm aware, people. You don't need to tell me that I'm not the person they're speaking to here. I know this, okay? I'm the outside looking in with the potential to buy in, but will never be the massive Nintendo fan. For the Nintendo fans, there's going to be a lot of excitement for those updates, even paid updates, which I disagree with completely. They should be free patches. There's no reason why that they shouldn't be doing free patches, just like Xbox did, just like Ubisoft and all of their terribleness have done with their games. The next gen upgrades should be free. Okay. Especially now that we're finding out that those versions are just Switch 1 versions with update patches for real. If you buy them physically, even. I think those should be free. But whatever. It is what it is. Nintendo, greedy ass corporation, just like the rest of them, gonna nickel and dime you to fucking death. Okay? That's why I gave credit to Xbox for doing the free updates. And this is why we criticized PlayStation and now Nintendo, although PlayStation did have some that were close to free or free. But that's why we give criticism to all this, and I'll keep it the same across the board. Nintendo, it's just being greedy. It's just bullshit. Give your customers... Come on. Give your customers the free updated patch to these older games. But fine. Nintendo fans are going to be excited. So for that part of it, first party, for the Nintendo fans, they're going to be cool with this. Like, they got some games. I'm not a Donkey Kong fan per se, but it did look cool, right? It did look cool. It wouldn't be anything I'd buy even if I bought the Switch 2, but it did look cool. So fans are going to be happy. Great. Third parties. I was expecting more third party, although the rollout what they're kind of trying to do. I get it. I was expecting more Xbox first party there to be in this as well. But the lineup that they did show, that's going to be the big new part of being a Switch 2 owner for Nintendo fans, especially the ones that are only Nintendo fans, right? They are now going to have access to more third-party games than ever before. And we also talked about this and figured this was going to be coming. With the updated tech, and I said it on PM and the PM, I think the updated tech in this Switch 2 is actually going to be more beneficial to third parties than it is Nintendo first party. I don't believe Nintendo first party is all of a sudden going to start using Unreal Engine 5. Okay. I don't think that they're going to use Unreal Engine 4. I don't think Nintendo first party is going to change their games dramatically over what they've been getting because they have a very specific, and I will say it, kiddie style to their games that has created this rabid fan base that people love. It might not be for me, but again, I don't dismiss it as dumb just because I don't care about it. They're not going to suddenly change and become a more realistic, go for high-end graphics. Or again, when I say high-end, I'm not even talking about current gen, but this system is close to being as powerful as docked as a PS4 Pro, supposedly, or an obviously Xbox One X. They're not going to go for those style of games. So their first party, they might be able to make their games a little bit bigger, right? They might be able to add some new mechanics, some new effects overall. But they're not going to benefit as much as the third parties who have not been able to put their games and offer their games to this 120, 150 million fan base. They haven't been able to offer their games. So I expected this. We expected this, like the Cyberpunk showing up. The fact that CD Projekt Red did all the work to get that sucker on a cartridge. Yes, that full game, 64 gig cartridge, is all going to be on the cartridge. The fact that they did the work shows the potential they obviously see from this new consumer fan base if you can get your games over to it and make it work. And yes, I said it again, and other people, I won't be the first to point this out. Shout out to, it's Alex. Shout out to a bunch of others who pointed this out. Funny Steel. A bunch of third parties out here who didn't put a whole lot of effort in optimizing their games for Xbox, specifically the Series S, are suddenly going to do a whole lot of optimization to make sure that their games work on the Switch all of a sudden. There's going to be a whole lot of devs who, behind the scenes or in, what do I want to say? In anonymous ways, speaking to certain press, certain media, complaining behind the scenes about the Series S's lack of power, suddenly aren't going to have a problem getting their games over onto in an inferior machine, a lesser powered machine. Suddenly, that's going to change. Just saying. But I think the third parties here are going to benefit the most because these games are going to show up. Now, question becomes, and we're going to find out real quick, do the Nintendo fans care about the third-party stuff? It hasn't been easy sledding for the third parties that were on the Switch 1. Not all of them have sold great because the Nintendo fan base really has a big portion that buy the hell out of the first-party titles, but really don't care about third-party titles. So we're going to find out if there is a big market for the third-party titles, right? Because you're going to see a lot of big games come over to the Switch 2. I even think that Strauss is going to find a way to get Grand Theft Auto 6 over there at some point. I do believe that.
That's a big reach.
And maybe. I know. Maybe, but I think they're going to find a way. I just think we're going to find out if the Nintendo fans buy anything outside of first party as well. And if they do, then it's going to be very profitable for these third parties. It's going to be very profitable. This is a big, massive fan base. There is no question about that. So, overall, again, great presentation. Didn't lose me on their presentation at the Direct, right? As far as the stuff afterwards goes, I'm going to speak out. If you don't care about price points, if you think that everybody should just smile and say, hey, it's an expensive hobby, it's okay. Or if you think that everybody...
I can't fucking stand that talking point. The expensive hobby shit.
Listen, there's a lot of things that are expensive. There's a lot of things that people can't afford in life, right? There's a lot of people who can go out and buy 100 pairs of $300 Nikes, no problem. And then somebody else has
money
to
for
save
everything
one
else
time to get
okay.
one, right? Right. We are always making decisions. There's no doubt about that, right? And you guys all know me. I'm a fan of capitalism. I understand big business being big business. Again, I wish everybody else would just acknowledge that Nintendo's a greedy ass fucking corp and stop pretending that they're some nice guy, little guy company from the days of old, right? We understand their place in video game history, and you can give them the respect for the place of what they did for the video game industry. Standing alone pretty much at one point and carrying this industry forward. We can give them the respect, but we don't have to lick boots and say, oh, they're the nice corporation out of this. They really care about the customers. They're the little game company that's still giving us those pure gaming experiences without any of the the nonsense. This is a greedy ass fucking corporation that has a board, that has money men in play, that has shareholders, just like everybody else, that has to answer to that. And they are doing it right here, right now. Okay. That's why they sold you stamped cardboard for an exorbitant amount and people lapped it up and nobody complained about it. So I get all of that. I'm just sick and tired of the people acting like Nintendo is some special company. They're not a special company, folks. They found their niche and they do it very well. And they're masters at that. And their place in history is carved into the Mount Rushmore of video games. Okay. No doubt about it, but they're a fucking corporation. Okay. And they are out to soak you dry of all your money. That's why their games don't go on sale. And that's why they've done what they've done here, which is increase their game prices when it's not necessary. They are making a shit ton of money, but they increase their game prices because they do know the costs are going up a little bit as far as new hardware, new tech. They are going to increase their game prices. Or their production costs. We said this. I talked about this. I asked the question how Nintendo was going to respond to potentially their games getting bigger and using more tech. Well, this is it. They're not going to chop their bottom line at all, even though it's a very healthy bottom line. They are going to charge more money and give it back to the consumer to pay for these premium exclusive experiences because they've heard loud and clear from a portion of their fan base and other fan bases that, hey, we're willing to pay $100 per game. We're willing to pay more for a game. Just keep giving me this greatness. Now, again, greatness is going to be in the eye of the beholder. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say that they're doing something unlawful or that this is illegal. But I'm also not going to sit back and be the person who just goes, yeah, whatever. It's big business. They're doing what they do. No, I'm going to say I don't like this because this is going to have a ripple effect, just like we talked about the $70 game price point, right? And I'm going to say that I don't like this because this is going to give other companies the green light, now that Nintendo's doing it, to go ahead and bump again. And there does come a point where value is getting less and less out of these video games. And there is going to come a point where if they continue to increase these prices, they will contract this industry beyond even what's happening naturally right now because the industry grew too fast and way too big and is bloated. But they're going to potentially, if we're going to go down this road, make this once again a very exclusive hobby. And you are going to shrink especially on the console side. Now, mobile might continue to grow. PC obviously could continue to grow because the pricing over there is completely different. But from a console space, you might really do create that exclusive club, right? And if you do want that, okay, fine. But you are going to start at some point causing a ripple effect through your own sales, in my opinion, your own sales of games where people can't afford as many games. And I'm speaking specifically about Nintendo here because they have a ridiculous attach rate to their console.
Oh, yeah.
You will eventually hit a point where that does affect it. And I'm just not going to sit back because the rest of the industry will be affected by this. They will bump their prices. Again, I talked about it. GTA 6, I already thought that Strauss was going to push it. I still think, and especially now, do think that GTA 6 will be $90 to $100 when it drops. We will find out. But I think that we will start seeing more and more other companies bump their prices. So I'm not going to sit back and say this is great. I'm not going to sit back and say it is what it is. I'm going to say That right there went ahead and changed my mind about getting the Switch 2. I'm not gonna do this.
Yeah.
And again, part of it is, again, just like Sony, they're not producing enough first party wise to get me in. That's not why I was buying the Switch 2 in the first place. Metroid Prime 4 aside, hopeful that they would bring back something like a Star Fox down the road, etc. But they aren't making the games anyways that I do want to play. They have some IP that I'm missing out on that I was considering buying back into just to play. But now at this point, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to support. I have no reason to. It's not something I need. My FOMO isn't that great. And I'm not going to do it. And I will say this, it doesn't matter who it is. If Xbox starts raising those price points, right, on their individual games, if third parties start raising their price points, right, I will then start buying more on sale on PC versions of those games that are available on PC. It will affect how I buy PC games. And I will start investing more in the PC side of things now that I have the ability to, if they choose to go this route. And I think that that's the part where we have to be careful. Nintendo is doing this because they are one of the cool kids. They are one of the popular kids. They are taking advantage of their position. This has nothing to do with competition from anybody else. Nintendo purposely set themselves outside of any competition. They are in their own lane. They created that lane. They are more than welcome to do what they want to.
But it does seem like they are building roads to get onto the main lane because of the third-party support that is coming in as well. I think they want that. They want Call of Duty on there.
They want the third parties. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, that portion of it, absolutely, of course. I'm just saying I don't think that they're going to start all of a sudden putting their games on PC. I don't see it. I would be highly surprised if they do this next entire generation under the Switch 2. I'd be highly surprised. Down the road,
they may not do it for Switch 2. They may not do it for Switch 2. But again, I just have a very hard time seeing a world where Nintendo is diminished all of a sudden just because their games are available on PC now. Because again, the people who are buying console hardware are not the same people who are just going to turn around and buy a PC to play those Nintendo games. And the only thing Nintendo will end up gaining from putting their games, I'm not saying they even got to put their games on any other platform, on anybody else. You don't have to put it on Xbox. You don't have to put it on PlayStation. But even if you just put it on PC, again, it's the most neutral platform that you could put it on. And the only thing that you would do is get additional traction. How dope would it be if you can get a Super Smash Brothers and get a 20 million more players in there because now it's available on Steam.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree. I agree with you from that side. The PC side is weird that they won't do it. Again, they are firm believers in the exclusivity deal. They are the one that still believes in that completely, and it works for them. And so I can't deny that it doesn't work for them. And I'm also not going to deny two things can be true at the same time if we're adults. That if they did decide to go PC, that they would not sell more, that would not help them even more so increase their bottom lines and wouldn't affect their consoles. I would argue that with Nintendo as well, that they won't affect the console sales the way you think it will by putting it on PC. It is two separate fan bases, and you will still have the vast majority of your fan base love your handheld because the vast majority of that base does play it in a handheld mode. The stats show you that, and the PC doesn't offer that shit. Right now, you could say, well, they could go buy a PC handheld. Yeah, but most people aren't going to.
But you're still talking about a different market at that point.
Look how much money. Love Nintendo in the market.
That's the thing. Look how much money. And Nintendo could also cut some deals with those with those different manufacturers as well. And look how much money people are going to have to spend to enjoy your product or enjoy your software on that platform. And again, I get Nintendo. I'm not going to say Nintendo would never do it. I can understand why people say they wouldn't do it. But for me as a gamer and someone that does like some of their games as well, if you're already proven that your base is always going to be dedicated, they have the strongest base that is in the console space, point blank period. Those console players are not going to give up just because you got games on PC now. You're only going to, I'm telling you, you're going to see 100% uptick in sales.
Right.
That's just easy money for you, especially when these corporations say that, it's about the money. And then because again, I know, like, I would love to believe that Nintendo thinks that it's not always all about the money, but the moves that they're making say differently. Say that it is about the money. They want you to spend more money. So you can't say, because I've heard some people say that, oh, well, Nintendo has pride in their product and that's why they do things a certain way. And, if they start doing this and and it's like, but that can't be completely the case, because look what they're doing now. They could have done the complete opposite and said, hey, instead of 70, we're going to do $60 games. And their games would have, just that alone, that $10 savings, they probably would have sold at least 10% more copies this generation. Just that move by itself. You know what I'm saying? But you didn't. You did the opposite.
And I want to make it clear here too. I'm not going to judge you if you go buy the Nintendo Switch. I'm not going to judge you. I've been the guy that's a realist. I'm going to sit out here and complain and criticize and talk about the stuff that I don't agree with. I'm not going to sit back and shut my mouth just because some fans out here don't want to hear shit. That's not why I'm here. That's why I didn't join this community. That's why I don't do podcasting. Yeah. I come out here to talk, but I'm talking for myself, right? I stay away from generalizing or grouping things together as much as I can. Am I perfect? No, I'm not perfect. But what I'm going to say here is, I'm also the dude who's realist, who, when we've talked about this stuff in the past, have said that the chances of getting enough gamers together to speak up about this all at one time is probably slim to none. Do I think that this is the Wii U moment for Nintendo all over again? No. Does it have comparables to the Xbox One launch? Yes. But do I think that Nintendo's going to fail? No. I think it's going to be wildly successful. I think the Switch 2 launch is going to be massive, and I think that they're going to be just fine. I don't think this is one of those moments, right? So, and if you are one of those people that say, I've got to get it. I really want to get it. I love my Nintendo. I don't like paying $80, but I'm going to go buy it and play. I'm not going to judge you for that. I freely admit too, there are certain games where I would bitch and complain and be crying as I handed over my credit card. Okay. There is no doubt about it. If Elder Scrolls 6 comes out and Todd announces that it's $80, $90 on stage, I'm buying it. I will say my piece that I think it's shitty and it sucks, but you think I'm going to be real with myself? It's a game that I'm willing to pay that for. It's the same thing for Grand Theft Auto 6. Not for me personally, but I've said it. That's why I think Strauss is going to push it. Do I think that people will complain if he comes out and says Grand Theft Auto 6 is $90 or $100? Oh, of course there will be. There will be an uproar. Do I think overall he would lose enough people versus the amount of money they would gain by doing it for the people who are still going to buy it? No, I don't. I think that they would be probably a good business move on his part, because people will bitch and complain, but my God, the FOMO for Grand Theft Auto 6 will be over the top and people will pay it, right? I think it's shitty and I think it's wild that we're at this point, but that's the reality of it. So I'm not trying to dismiss reality, and I'm not trying to sit here and say that what they're doing is so egregious that it's unbelievable that, oh my God, if you are any type of gamer, you should not be supporting this. No, bro. Like, this is straight up business. They're taking what became the norm for this generation, $70. They are entering this generation now with their new console, because again, the Switch was out long before we started the Xbox Series, PS5 generation, and Nintendo is a trendsetter. They decided to walk in and say, our new system, $80 for some of our games. And again, remember, it's not every single game. They are going to play this whole, some games are going to be 80, some games are going to be 70. We might even see some $60 games in here, right? So it's not every single game is 80. But they decided that, hey, our fan base will pay this, so we're going to charge it. Too bad, so sad. We don't give a fuck about your feelings. And they don't. None of these corporations do. So
they don't have to.
It's up to Nintendo. No, they don't have to.
And they don't have to.
But again, I'm just not going to sit back and say it's okay, because it's not. Nintendo's not bringing current gen stuff. And again, I understand that it's all the perception that people that are Nintendo fans are happy to play the same games over and over again with slight upgrades to graphics. It's more about the gameplay and the fun factor to people that are Nintendo fans. They don't give a shit that the visuals don't match current day visuals. They will call Nintendo's visuals timeless. I totally understand that art is in the eye of the beholder. Value is in the eye of the beholder. But they're not even bringing current tech. They're not even bringing up to date their games in the way that Xbox and PlayStation both have been trying to do. And they're charging you more for that same lesser experience in a lot of people's eyes. So you're going to hear about it. It is just one of those things. And again, now, we haven't even really talked about them, moving further and further away from physical copies, which was a big draw for Nintendo. And I think Nintendo fans will even admit that.
Another thing to add on.
A lot of Nintendo fans loved and praised Nintendo for keeping their games on. Most of the games. It's not always been true, but most of their games, you buy the physical cart, you get the full game. That's how it's been for Nintendo. People talk about it all the time. They've got their Nintendo Switch collections because, they don't put their games on sale. So you buy physical. It's an investment. The prices generally go up. The value goes up. And I own that full game no matter what. Nintendo is signaling to you all, to Steele's point, Nintendo is signaling to all you Nintendo fans, those days are limited at this point. Because more and more of their games are now going to be code only. Not all of them, but more and more of these games. You're going to buy that cart and you get the game key with it.
That's crazy.
And it is crazy. It is a part of the Xbox One DRM that everybody bitched about. There is some cool factor to this that game key is not... Even though it is the cart with just a digital code, you can sell it, obviously, like you can on used discs for Xbox or PlayStation, so you can do that. There is the game sharing feature within the household that is dope, so that person who, if you own one copy of the game, you can have up to 4 people, I believe, on the same internet, on the same Wi-Fi, play that game. So if you get Mario Kart World and you want to invite 4 people over, they don't all have to own the game. You guys can all sit down in the same household on the same Wi-Fi and play that game. There is some cool factor.
Yeah, that stuff was cool. I do like that.
That is right. There is some additional stuff that Nintendo's using that DRM for that Xbox was going to until it got blown out of the water because nobody was ready to hear that shit back in the day. But there is some cool. So I'm giving credit where credit's due. I just think the $80 is a step too far for this system, for some of the games. And I'm that's where I'm at. But I think overall the hardware itself is priced appropriately. And I think that they did a good job presenting it. Steele, to your other quick question, to your other point about what I saw people playing. Yeah, I saw hiccups in the games. I saw it didn't,
there's the games, the presentations.
Yeah, they didn't do the best. Is it a big deal? No,
the best. I mean, but these are features that you're selling hardware with that are not. But it's running sub 15 frames per second. Like that's not okay.
It's not the final product. We haven't seen it yet live, right? It's not the final product. We've seen lots of games.
That makes it worse. If it's not live,
this is a fan. Again, they're not selling us. This is a fan base that bought Pokemon running at fucking 10 frames. Okay. This is a fan base that is used to being an underpowered machine with the hiccups that come with an underpowered machine. I'm not excusing it because it is what it is. I don't like how games come out nowadays and need day one patches. I get it, but this is the state of the gaming industry. I will say this for the people who do and who have been promoting increasing prices because it gives you a premium experience, especially on the exclusive side for the PlayStation fans who said we'll pay more, for the Nintendo fans who are excusing this left and right and saying, oh, this is great. It's Nintendo. I don't care. I'll pay whatever. These are the best ever. I hope you guys do, as these price increases go, and this goes across the board for any company, that we're going to get to this point. If they're going to start marking these games up, then the argument that people have made that we will get better quality, I hope all of us gamers do start to hold these companies as these prices creep up. I hope all of us do get to the point where we do start expecting a game to come out without a day one patch. We do expect a game to come out polished as fuck, running as clean as possible. on our systems if they're going to start doing this, if they're going to start charging these prices. That better start happening, and we as gamers better start spending or start talking with our wallets when these games do show up and they're not good and they're not perfect. If I'm spending $80, $90 on a base game, that fucker better be optimized. I don't want to hear no bullshit about, we got a day one patch coming, everything's going to be fine. Oh, we got all these. No. That better end.
It better be with the day one patch.
That better go away, right? That's what I'm saying right now. And I hope us, again, I know it's unrealistic because gamers will put up a lot, including myself. But I hope we do get to a point where we as gaming group do speak enough with our wallets that does change if they're going to do this to us in prices. But again, it is, I think, a step too far for Nintendo right here with the Switch 2. So, anyways, that's my end. That's my talk.
It's a lot, man. It just doesn't make it as It just doesn't make it as interesting as I thought it was going to be. Yep. Right? I was leaning into the fact or thinking, hey, that could have just been me being naive, that Nintendo would do things differently in a way that's more so consumer focused, right? Seeing how much success that they've had, what goes into making the type of games that they make. You know, they just had such a W on their hands in an easy way to even surpass your previous generation and almost make it an undeniable feat for you to get your new Switch console, right? Now, again, they are still giving you trade-ins for your current Switch of upwards of $100, right? So it ends up the system being right around $350.
I think it was $175 for OLED, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. So even with that, I mean, but just stay with the base 100, you know, for a default Switch. I mean, you're looking at $350 for the console. That puts it more so in the price range of what the system would traditionally cost, right? So not a huge negative. That's why I don't have a problem with that. Again, that's the thing about their console generation as well. And why I feel like I'm a little bit more critical of it is because I feel like a lot of people just have a Switch. And if you don't have a Switch, then if you want to say you don't, your kids do, and those will be devices that you would upgrade or that you would consider for trade-ins for your next device, right? So there's so many things that play into that, moving into that next generation, right? Along with getting the additional performance, because there are upgrades to be had there. I will say this: I do think getting the first iteration of the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be very beneficial for the people who want to invest right now. Reason I say that is because there was a thing with the OG Switch, and I have one, to where it was the easiest to modify, right? So as an example, I wasn't playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet at 30 FPS on my Switch. It was playing of upwards of 45, most of the time 60 on my Switch, because I was able to get in there, adjust some things, adjust the performance, put the Switch to performance mode. I had to have it plugged in, right? More so, but I had, I could take it off the charge. It had some more customization option that you had on there, but on the Switch device itself, it was easily moddable. Where the ones that came out after, people essentially say you can't do anything to them, right? So there are going to be benefits. I can see something like that being the same situation here. Nintendo has always carried that kind of thing, and most of the time for a lot of these consoles, right? I think PlayStation 5 even has a moddable version of the OS that you can get, but I think people do recommend you getting the base PlayStation 5, one of the older ones that came out, because that's one of the easier ones to do it to. So there, for those reasons, again, and I'm taking the perspective of, we gave all of our details, how we feel about it and everything, and just kind of pulling myself back from it and approaching it as a piece of hardware, piece of tech that I would, if I did have a use case for it, or if I was going to use it, or if I was going to consider it, or if you're somebody of that echelon, there's a lot of use cases, especially because that's the type of stuff that we used to do back in the day as well. So a lot of time, a lot of things, a lot of convenience.
Yeah. Wacko says there's only 1 to 3 games per generation that I want to own, so $80 each is not that much over a 7-year period, and that's good for you, Wacko. Like, and if you're one of those players, one of those gamers, you do have an advantage when making decisions, right? Because it's much easier to justify. Again, somebody like myself or Steel or others who like to touch a lot of games and buy a lot of games, right? I'm on a budget too. And I've talked about it continuously. Game Pass has been a godsend because I get to touch a lot of games without paying other than my monthly fee, and I incorporate my Game Pass subscription into my budget. 100%. But I'm out here buying a lot of games too each year, right? Right, buying a lot of games. So Wagyu, you do have the advantage, and I would see where that would be, and a lot of Nintendo fans are that way. A lot of gamers are that way. See, we found out from Circana, right? The vast majority, we are the 3 to 5 percentile. Like we literally are the 3 to 5 percentile. And it could even be less than that of people who buy more than 3 games a year. That's wild to me. Like that is crazy how many people are that kind of what we would call casual versus enthusiasts. That segment is the segment of us, the enthusiasts, are such a small one. We're the loudest because we're the most passionate about this industry for a reason. But it's just when you think about the numbers and the money, we carry so many of these studios still because the casuals are only carrying a few games a year. We are the ones who are buying up the 100%. Rest of the rest. It's wild. And Nintendo, Nintendo is even more different because their fan base, their attach rate to all of their first party titles is so ridiculous. That's why they can get away with this stuff, because their attach rate is what Xbox and even PlayStation wish they could have. Again, Mario Kart 8 sold, we're approaching 70 million copies.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. It's up there.
First party exclusive. Nowhere else still. Yeah. GTA, Red Dead Redemption, those are everywhere outside of the Switch because they haven't gotten nowhere to Switch it. But one game, first party, selling that many, that changes your whole. Like when you're up there as a CEO, CFO, you're the C-suite guys and gals, you're thinking differently when you've got games that do that. And I'm saying Mario Kart's one of the, obviously even an outlier there, but most of their games sell 15 million, 20 million,
light
25 million.
Service.
Right.
We're talking about single player games and light service games.
It's nuts. It changes the perspective when you think about it from that standpoint.
But that's why it also puts them in a different almost in a different avenue, but there are paths that are crossing. There are paths that are crossing.
Yeah. Eventually, I do believe those bubbles have to collide at some point, right? Because the tech is continuing to move forward, whether Nintendo likes it or not. They can sit there longer. They can avoid change longer, and they have. But you see them now. Again, Steel, you pointed it out. It was weird that they were promoting chat as if it was some big deal, and the features that chat gave you, which is the same shit that Discord's been doing now forever.
You didn't implement Discord?
Right. But they promoted as if some big deal. They promoted the camera as if it's some.
They're still playing still playing our hardware is this ecosystem. We don't want anybody to have access to anybody else on the outside of this ecosystem. And that is. For me as a gamer, that's the most attracting part for me. That doesn't make it enjoyable for me to be in the Nintendo ecosystem, is because I have become somebody, and that's why I say these different platforms are just looked at differently for me, because I am somebody who I want more access. I want to play something the way that I want to play it, and like Discord. Right. If that's the way that we're going to be able to communicate outside of the Xbox Party Chat, because Xbox Party Chat is still flawless for me. I have never had issues with Xbox Party Chat. It's been very seldom. I'm one of those. I'm the rare Party Chat user, I guess, I've always used it and I've always relied on it.
Chat with somebody who has massive problems with the chat, Steel, so it's real.
I know it's an issue. I know it's an issue. But if Discord is going to become the de facto thing, and it does work, and it's coming to all platforms. Again, isn't it on PlayStation now? I know it's for sure on Xbox.
Yeah.
So why not put
Xbox
it on Nintendo as well?
PlayStation invested. Remember, that was a big ordeal. That invested more. They do have it. Yes, it's just integrated more on Xbox.
So why can't we have, as a gamer, as the brand that is one of the gamerified gaming companies? why aren't they trying to, implement that as well?
Nixie, I'm not saying they should. Nixie, I'm not saying they should downplay anything. It's just when you talk about the promotion, right? They act as if they are creating something new, right? Because it's coming to Nintendo for the first time ever, right? That's what I'm talking about. Like they are in their own bubble, and their fan base is in the own bubble, right? So that they're kind of like this lost world where they don't realize what's been going on in the outside. So when they present something, it's just go look at the comments, Nixie. I know you know this stuff, and I know you're not ignorant. Go look at the Nintendo fanboys comments about how they believe that a lot, and I'm not talking about everybody. Again, it's the small loudmouths, but they believe everything Nintendo does is somehow groundbreaking. They think that I saw people literally saying that with the Switch 2, Nintendo caught up to current gen. Come on, man.
No,
they haven't.
They
have not caught up to current gen, bro. Like they're still a generation behind. That's what I'm talking about. I'm just saying the way that they go about it. And my point was, Nixie, is that they are eventually going to come current as tech moves forward, right? They might always be a little bit behind. They can stay in their lane longer, but they are being influenced as technology moves forward, right? They are being influenced whether they, they're not going to embrace it completely. They're not going to all of a sudden turn up and be a PlayStation or be an Xbox. We already know that. They're not going to do that, but they are eventually going to have to embrace the tech, and they are going to have to change eventually, I believe, into something different than they currently are. I'm not talking about going away from handhelds or anything like that. I'm just talking about the other tech and maybe potentially putting their games eventually on PC, right? To grab another piece of the market and more money. I just think eventually it's going to get to that point, where hardware becomes less and less important. I think they still will make it. I still think they will do their own thing, but I think eventually that will start pushing them in that direction. So, and I think like Steele said, we do see signs, right? The fact that a Joy-Con could be used as a mouse is kind of crazy. Like I never thought Nintendo would have done
again, that was one of the most impressive things to me. I like what they did with that.
Yeah, right. But they introduced motion controls. They, with the Wii and well, they should. There was other people that did it, but I'm just saying they popularized it with Wii, and then everybody copied them, etc. So the fact that they're turning their Joy-Con into a mouse is dope, right? It's just a sign of the times, right? That's something they want to go for because they understand that people, and they specifically presented it with Metroid Prime 4. So Nintendo's obviously aware with first-person shooters, there's a lot of people who like to use mouse, right? There's a lot of people that like to do that on first-person shooters, and they made it a feature with their Joy-Cons, which again, I think is dope. I think it's going to open up a lot more opportunity in other areas too. I love people admitting in our chat too. Thank you all for admitting that there are games that you all would spend an exorbitant amount of money on. Right. That we all have those games, and we should all be self-aware. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that would say never, like Steele probably would never on pretty much any game I could name. He would have a price point where he would say, nah. I'm not going to do it. But
it would have a lot of us gamers, it would have to be a perfect game.
a lot of us gamers
there's not one.
Have at least one or two games that we would pay an exorbitant amount of money out the gate for. I probably have more than I realize because I bought a lot of the Ultimate Editions. So I'm already kind of pre-trained in that dollar amount in some ways, and people talked about that when they started doing that. Now, again, I justify it because I like having DLC. I like having the battle pass, especially out the gate, because I know I'm going to play it a lot that first time when it launches. So I already go, well, you're probably going to buy this anyway, so I'm going to buy this. The early access is just a bonus to me, but I am kind of preconditioned now at this point where $100 on a game, it sucks when I say it's a base game, or $80 or $90 sucks as a base game and I'm not getting anything extra, but it certainly would open up the chances that there would be a game. Like I said, Elder Scrolls 6, I'll just tell you right now, I would pay probably upwards of $100 to play it day one, right? I would adjust my budget and say, okay, I just bought a game and a half, right? I just bought a game and a half. So I got to adjust my budget, but I'm paying $100 to play Elder Scrolls on day one. I probably would do that. I'm not going to lie. I would be screaming. I would be crying, but I probably would do it. And I think that's why GTA is going to get away with it. Because to most people, it'll be a game and a half that charge 100. My argument the other night on PM and the PM was that I think that 150 people would still do it. And I think they would probably still gain out of it. And you can call me crazy, but I think most of the GTA players, the big fan base, because that's when we talk about loyal fan base, GTA, yeah, I think that most of that fan base would go, I hate this, but it's 2 games. And I'm going to play GTA 6 more than I will play most games, if not the most out of any game I will ever play. It is worth more than 2 games to me. And I think most people would pony up. I really do. Now, we'll see if we ever get a chance to see how that would play out. I think it'd be fun, but that's my speculation, that 150 would probably be the mark. For GTA. It's a unicorn. I'm not saying every game. I'm just saying GTA.
I just hate the thought of that.
Hey, Jesse James, you would play 100. Well, of course we all do. Steele, I hate it too. Jesse says I would pay $100 to play Fable today. Yeah, see, yeah.
And look, I feel you on that. I just no. It would literally have, for me, it would literally have to be the perfect game, and there's not a perfect game that exists, because I through gameplay again, and I've explained to you guys before, a lot of games that you can look at and determine whether it's going to be something that you're interested in or not, and it would have to be a mixture of different games for it to be something that is worth that dollar. So, we'll see. We'll see if it ends up existing. What's up?
So you might have talked about it while I was gone for a minute there. I got to get your opinion, though. The biggest surprise out of the Nintendo show, right, out of the Direct, was Miyazaki from Software showing up with Dustblood.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
no, that completely threw me for a loop. I was expecting for it to be an announcement to other platforms and everything at the end. That's what I was waiting for. I was like, oh, this can't be exclusive to Nintendo Switch. I was like, that's crazy. Yeah. And then to also find out that it is a battle royale PvP. It is that style of game as well. Yeah. That's a very bold game to be made on that platform, who doesn't have a history of having the best online infrastructure. So I don't know how well that would end up going, but nonetheless, what that does tell me, though, I think this is going to be a timed exclusive, 6 months at least, just because of the Elden Ring fans out there. But also we have Night Rain that's coming on the horizon, so there's options to be had. But no, that completely did throw me for a loop. I know a lot of people were a little heated about that. Some people thought it was going to be Bloodborne. I was more so surprised that one of the characters had fucking guns. He was like shooting fucking submachine guns down, like while he was jumping down. I was like, what is happening in this game? So
it definitely has the aesthetic. It's got that Victorian aesthetic of Bloodborne. I mean, a lot of people are talking, this is Miyazaki's middle finger FU to Sony and PlayStation, because he's been in interviews where people have asked him about Bloodborne 2. We know that, just recent interviews over the past 6 months or so, in which he said he would love to do it, but he's just got to find the time still. He just doesn't have the time to make Bloodborne 2. Well, he found time to sign an exclusive deal with Nintendo to make a game that carries over a lot of the same aesthetics. And we've also gotten the smoke behind the scenes that potentially how PlayStation handled Bloodborne originally, before it became this cult phenomenon, before it became as big as it is now, that how they handled it really kind of did rub Miyazaki and From Software the wrong way. And that's why he has not done a sequel yet. And that there is a little bit of potential bad blood there around Bloodborne. So it is interesting that the Nintendo secured this. I think it's a great move for Nintendo, obviously, especially with the Switch's popularity in the East. I think it's a great move to have From Software. From Software's everywhere, but I'm just saying, they are giving a special edition for people who don't know. I don't know if you mentioned that too, Steel, Japanese only Switch 2 for $120 cheaper, but it only comes with the Japanese language. So no other languages, but they are doing that. They say that's for region lock for scalpers, and obviously supporting their home territory. So I think, again, Nintendo's doing what Nintendo does here. They were out of bounds at the price points. They're out of bounds at the price points on some of the Joy-Cons are $90, and they're not giving us Hall effect sticks. Come on, see that kind of shit is like whatever.
I mean, it's magnetic, so I mean, we'll see how long they last. But yeah,
we'll see how long they last. But yeah, I just think that securing that game from Software and announcing as exclusive was a pretty big deal. That was a surprise, and I think it's pretty dope. I think it's pretty cool that they went out and did that. Do I think it should be exclusive? No, of course not. Whatever. Do what you're gonna do. I'm not gonna sit here and bitch about exclusive or not exclusive. I wish more people, especially in the Soul genre, how big it is now, would get to enjoy that game. Just like I don't think Bloodborne should be locked down, but it is. It is what it is. But I thought that was a bold move from Nintendo for sure to get that.
Yeah, no, I thought it was just crazy. But
yeah,
we'll see how it goes. We will see how it goes. What else do we have on the list? Chat, let us know if there's anything specific that you'd like for us to get into. What else I had up on my radar here? I was about to pull this Tron Ares trailer up on the screen because I like to play Tron.
Bro, I was gonna mention that I took a quick gander at it.
Yeah.
A lot of people worried about Disney right now, and candidly should be worried about anything Disney touches right now. A lot of people were worried about Tron. I know Tron Legacy wasn't everybody's cup of tea. I love the original. Okay, the original is original is one of my all time. They dropped the bag by not making Tron a thing for decades. Right, Tron should have been one of them. They should have had more movies. When Tron Legacy came out, I was hyped. It matched my hype. I actually really did like the story.
I really liked it.
And I liked what they did behind it. I really love
aesthetic.
Tron Legacy.
I love
it's gorgeous.
The music was on point.
Well, of course.
It just was that movie was the best. It was good.
But it was so good. It was so good. Tron Ares, a lot of people worried about it because what Disney's done recently. And again, they should be. I was worried. Watching this trailer, I'm less worried. I'll put it that way. Okay. Finally the grid is colliding with the real world. Of course, that's where they're going to go with this. Okay. So the grid is good. This trailer, still visually, fuck yeah. I mean, visually, like the cool factor is off the fucking charts, right? So, gotta wait and see on the story because I did like the Tron Legacy story. Gotta wait and see on the story, but just from a visual effects, and of course, Nine Inch Nails is doing the soundtrack, so there is no question that I will be I will love the soundtrack, right? I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with this trailer. Daft Punk don't miss, and I'm sad about Daft Punk splitting up. And I said that from the beginning, that fact that we won't get a follow-up Daft Punk soundtrack for Tron Ares was sad to me. And then they announced that, now they announced that Trent.
That's a good replacement. I ain't gonna lie.
We're good. I'll just say we're good. I will miss the Daft Punk beats, but I will take the Nine Inch Nails beats in return. Yeah, okay, I will do that trade with you. Okay, if that's the way it's got to be,
that's a good trade. I'll take it. I'll see what happens. It's one of my favorite groups of all time, hands down, 1000%.
Well, yeah, bro. Well, again, you guys, I don't know if you guys saw my post this week, but one of the main reasons why I locked this down. This is Woodstock 94, by the way, everybody. Okay. This is the entire pay-per-view. This is over 40 hours.
Oh, wow. Damn.
This is over 40 hours, right? There's a lot of reasons why I locked this down. But this performance, Nine Inch Nails performance here, if you guys don't remember, this was most of you should be in the age range where you guys remember, but this was the mud Woodstock, right? When they brought Woodstock back, it turned into a mud pit because they had so much rain. This is the performance that put Nine Inch Nails, obviously they already had a huge fan base, right? But this is what put them onto the main stage eye. This performance right here from Trent was unbelievable. First of all, they were moshing in the mud pit with the people prior to going on stage. And of course, Trent was on the whole band was on a plethora of drugs at the time. This was back in the heyday. But they went in the mosh pit and then got up on stage covered in freaking mud. And from start to finish, put on one of the greatest single rock performances you can ever see. And I picked this up again, there's no official. This looks like it's official. There's never been official DVD release. Obviously, not official Blu-ray. This is long before that time period. It was pay-per-view only, unless you were there live. I got curious because I watch a lot of the performances from Woodstock and other Lalas and that kind of stuff. I went to a few Lalas back in the day. But I was watching a performance again of Nine Inch Nails the other day, a couple weeks ago, and I do that from time to time, and others from Woodstock 94. And I was like, how much longer is this going to be around in the digital age? What if YouTube decides to start wiping this stuff? What if people start copyrighting it, and you can't get it anymore? That stuff is lost. Those performances lost. There's a lot of people, Crosby, Stills, and Nash and stuff. Band members are gone now. They're never coming back again. So in the digital age, those performances, some of the best performances you will ever see, Metallica was at that one, could be gone forever to history, and nobody's going to know about them. And so I started thinking to myself, let's see if anybody actually did put it to disc. So I started looking around. I found two in my searching. Two people. One was DVDs. 17 DVDs. Deal. 17 DVDs this guy had made from his original pay-per-view recordings. Now think about that. That's DVD. Think about the VHS tapes. There must have been 25 VHS tapes, right? From back in the day. Because that's all you had available back in 94.
That's it.
Right? So somebody spent the time to record the entire pay-per-view because it went through the nighttime. They did after hours. Okay. Will Arnett is the after hours DJ, guys. This is before Will Arnett was a big actor. He's actually one of the hosts. It's freaking hilarious. Anyways, so 17 DVDs, the guy wanted $90. I was like, 17. I mean, it's a good price for 17 DVDs, but I'm like, $90. Found the second guy. Blu-ray. Actually put it on Blu-ray. 4 discs, 44 hours. He's got it all. He's got the pre-show. He's got the overnight stuff. There's everything there.
That's still dope.
And $50. I was like, okay, I got to do it. But anyways, back to my original, one of the main reasons is because Nine Inch Nails, one of the greatest performances ever live right there. And I have it it's VHS quality. It's not updated. Maybe someday I'll be able to take those discs and AI will clean them up and enhance them and make them gorgeous. It's VHS quality. The sound comes in and out because obviously VHS tapes get worn out. So you get all the imperfections. It is sub HD, obviously it is, but it is a time capsule because they got interviews with all the people at the grounds. They got interviews with everybody. Like it's a complete time capsule. It's like watching somebody's home videos. It is crazy. So anyways, but I'm happy with Nine Inch Nails and Tron Ares. Go watch Tron Ares.
No, I'm definitely going to watch that after the show for sure. Ron Slusher mentioned he'd like this to go just talk a little bit about South of Midnight thoughts. I haven't played it yet. I don't think Paul has played it either. Ooh, excuse me. I don't know if I'm going to end up playing it when it releases in full, just because of my current game rotation. I don't want to add anything additionally, and because I am having I'm always going to be multiplayer focused more so than anything. And as every time that I end up getting on these single player stints, or those are the only style games that I'm playing, I end up running into I always end up hitting these walls where I need to get my multiplayer fix. So there's a lot that I'm trying to balance out as far as that goes. I do want to play South of Midnight. The main thing that I will say to it is there was footage from January 4th. I think I went to look back where me and Paul were talking about South of Midnight, just early thoughts, where I essentially stated during that part of the show that we did on that day that I felt like South of Midnight was going to get the Kana treatment as far as how just people looked at the game, how it was observed, people talking about the repetitive gameplay, combat, and the way that the story flows. I think I even heard Destin today talk about, if you don't like child abuse and something else, and you shouldn't play this game. I thought that was the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my goddamn life from him. I mean, take it for what you will. Like, there's traumatic shit happening in the game, and you're telling people that you shouldn't play the game if you have a sensitivity to that. I mean, it's a game telling a story. I mean, I get if that's what you're pulling from it, and that's making it hard for you to play, but it's a story being told. I didn't get that part of it. And I'm only shouting to Destin because I know he has a little bit more of a presence. He likes to put his hot takes out there, and I know he stands on what he says and what he believes. So there's that. I just thought that was weird. Like, I don't know, like the way that it came across. There's other games that touch on very touchy topics. There's games that straight up talk about child molestation and rape, and you don't say, oh, you should stop playing those games if you're sensitive to these things. That's not been the thing. And I saw Vandal mention in the chat, says ridiculous for him to say when Persona 5 exists. And I heard Persona 5 is dark. Last of Us, there's some real dark, fucked up shit happening. That's what part of what made that game great. Again, that final decision at the end of the game, you could say that's a fucked up choice to make. You know what I'm saying? And that can be a conversation that you can have for hours on end. We can have a whole podcast about that final decision that you make in The Last of Us.
Psychonauts 2.
Psychonauts 2, yeah, same things.
Went through a lot. I mean, that's what they
discuss, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was cartoonish.
It Takes Two.
They went through, yeah.
I mean, that's not as traumatic, but it's just, I don't know. Like, he's not the only person that said who said that. I heard other people saying that as well. Like, oh, it just touches on some things that are like hard to kind of get to. It's like, but they're telling a story. Like, that's part of, if you're feeling that means they did something right? Am I off base in that? Like, that's what you would want. Oh, I feel so connected that this is making me feel off about this. Maybe that was the entire premise. Maybe that was the entire goal. You're supposed to feel something. I mean, that's the whole point of a story, right? Where you get something from it. Lydia says South of Midnight has some really dark themes in it. Great storytelling in chapter 7 currently. But again, like, it's a 15-hour game. Some people are saying it does it for too long. Like, I don't know. It's another one of those, again, where you have all this controversy around it, and I need to play it for myself to find out, like, what do you mean by that? And again, maybe it's because I'm from the South, and there's a lot of those themes and things that are kind of, for better or worse, common, right? I don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing. Of course, it's not. It's never good for bad things to happen to people, but when you're talking about bad people doing bad things, like, there's going to be serious shit that happens. You're going to find out some very dark things. That's stuff that happens in day-to-day life. When you see these, I mean, being a Pong, I've talked about that here before. When you see those dudes or bounty hunter style dudes that are finding out about these child molesters that are literally preying on children through DMs and messages and online and stuff like that, and you got dudes that are pulling up and giving these dudes the hands, like, again, being a vigilante is frowned upon, but who's going to do something? You give it to the cops, they act like it's not a real thing, or they got to go through all these additional steps. The system isn't always great about those things. There are real life things that happen all the time behind the scenes that people don't get justice for, right? So if it touches on some of those things, I think that's dope. I think it's dope that it's getting people to talk about it in a different way. Because, I mean, people didn't talk about Kana that way, right? And even Kana touches on some dark things. Really dark things that happened in that, but it was still that Pixar level quality type of game that people were mentioning. I'm not hearing those same things about South of Midnight. Unfortunately, they are being scored about the same, right? And it is just unfortunate we get these unique games that actually do the thing that we ask for a lot, where it kind of combines, hey, I want you to tell a good story. I want you to have good gameplay. I want you to, get something out of me. And you get that, and then you don't get the additional points for that. Meanwhile, Jedi Survivor can get a 9, and it has all the bugs in the world. It's not most innovative over its previous game, as an example. It's not doing the world's... It's not doing all the new things. And not saying that South of Midnight is the new bar of metric of how to create games, and I'm not saying that either. It's just, you see these weird critiques that aren't consistent about certain games. And again, that does tie into how people look at games and the different people reviewing them and everything. But it's just, I don't know, man. Maybe it's just me seeing it that way, to where I feel like people say they want certain things, and then when they get certain things, it's not enough, or it's not good enough, or it's all these other things. And then when they don't get them, oh, why didn't I have this? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Bold says, I think the problem is that there's players that want escapism 100% of the time. I mean, but even in those stories, that's escapism. Unless, now, again, if you had those things that have happened to you personally, and you can't play and you can't continue to experience it because you had rape, child molestation, whatever the case, whatever things that happened to you personally, I can understand that. But just telling people, oh, you shouldn't do this because it touches on these things, that's just, it comes across a little weird. I don't know. All right, Gene, much love. Be safe, man.
Later, Gene. Thanks for being around, brother. Appreciate that. I guess presentation is everything, and people are going to react differently. And I think, listen, a lot of times too, when it comes down, I think the reviews, I read a bunch of the reviews for South of Midnight, and I kind of figured that this is where it was going to fall too, Steel. Just coming from Compulsion, number one. Again, people got to remember that this is Compulsion's first complete big game. Okay,
that's the other thing, yeah.
Which is crazy. They've been around for a long ass time, but again, they were a small indie studio until they were acquired by Xbox. And again, I still don't put this into like AAA. Like this is still a small studio. That got money, got backing from Xbox, got a brand new studio, which I supported. Again, I've been a big Compulsion fan. We Happy Few. I'm one of the ones that liked We Happy Few. Obviously, understanding that it wasn't finished the way that it should have been, that they ran out of time and money. But I liked what We Happy Few was doing. I wish they would have done a game more like We Happy Few. That's what I really wanted. I've said all along that South of Midnight, because of the platforming, because of that stuff, is just not going to be a game that's probably going to appeal for me. Never say never. I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it day one. I'm going to download it. I'll probably play it for a couple nights. Never say never. But the platforming and stuff, you guys already know. When I started seeing that, I was like,
Cog mentioned the same thing. He says he's not typically the platformer dude anymore, and he said he actually liked what they presented in South of Midnight.
Cool, so and maybe it'll catch my attention. There is, but I've said all along, the characters, the story, the setting, all this shit, highly interesting, right? The stop motion, I like the stop motion. Again, I'm a Compulsion fan, so I liked what they were putting down here. I just think when it comes to the reviews, what I was saying is I read the reviews, both good and bad. There was consistency in most of the reviews. Most of the reviews did point out that Compulsion did a fantastic job with the story, with the acting, right? The setting, the creatures, the mechanics themselves working, the performance. Most people gave him praise for that. The criticism of people that did mark it down a little bit was consistent as well. It came down to a lot of repetition later in the games, and later in the game as you got through the combat especially got repetitive. So I did see consistency there. Now, when it comes to topics or ideas in a game that are serious, that are, potentially, traumatic for people or touch on sensitive subjects or whatever the case may be, I think it's really hard to lock down like why people feel a certain way. It could be the day they played the damn game when it comes to emotional stuff, Steel. I think most of us adults know that I could play a stupid game anytime. Like I could play a dumb game. I could play a game. I could play a smart game that causes my brain to think like, an RTS any day of the week, right? I could do that. I could play, a COD or a Battlefield or something like that pretty much any time, right? Sure, we have our days where we don't feel like playing that type of game, etc. But what I'm saying is when it comes to a serious game that approaches real life topics, like you were talking about, like a Last of Us or a Psychonauts 2, or we're talking about South of Midnight 2. I haven't played it yet, but obviously I understand that that's a part of this game, is that it's real life stuff. It could be the day of the week you play it on. We're feeling shitty or stuff's going on in your real life and it hits you wrong or hits you different and maybe hits you hard. Like there's a lot of that to it. And or like you said, you've had those experiences in real life and suddenly you're playing the game and it takes you back to a bad place and you weren't ready for it. Right. So I just think it's hard to critique people's opinions when it comes to this stuff. It's hard to jump to conclusions to why people don't, that people feel this way. I think you were spot on with your original thinking that this was going to fall in line with Canon Bridge of Spirits. I think it's as simple as Steel. It's the type of game it is. Period. Point blank. Yeah. It's the type of game it is. This is a game that's not going. These are the types of games, Steel. When it gets to, it's a general feeling. And I think we all that are gamers, it's hard to put into words sometimes, Steel, because obviously Kena and South of Midnight are different games, right? That's obvious, right?
But they both touch on very dark matters,
and there's a general feeling. Yeah, there's a general feeling like, yeah, their art styles are different, blah blah blah. But there's a general feeling that kind of when you watch the two side by side, you kind of get that same feeling. There are games that are like that, and so I think you were spot on with saying that this is going to be a game that not everybody, latches onto, and not everybody can agree upon whether or not it's great or it's mid or somewhere in between. But I think where it fell, Steel, as far as a score goes, again, this goes back to something that we've all been talking about when we talk about reviews and stuff. Again, they're just opinions. Go play it for your fucking self. It's interesting. Who cares what other people think about it? I don't give a shit. But it goes more to the fact that why we suddenly got to this point where a 7 game or a low 8 game is somehow bad or mid is beyond me. The scores say that this game is a good game.
Yeah.
That's what the score says. I hate to be IGN right now when they defend their 7s, right? I hate to be the IGN. But if you're going to look at this, because IGN does their 7s on purpose because it drives talk, because people can't decide whether or not it's bad or good, and they want to fight over it because the one side who wants to hate the game will say that that's a bad score, and the other people who want to defend the game will say it's a good score. But I'm just saying in general here, when we're talking about like South of Midnight or Kena or any of these games that kind of fall in this category, I'll continue to say this is a good game. That score represents a wide ranging amount of people saying this is a good game. It may not be a masterpiece. It may not be game of the year quality. It may not be a trendsetter, but this is a damn good game that people should try and go play. And I think that ultimately at the end of the day, we can't lose sight of that. This isn't a game that came out and scored a 5 and people are playing it and going, holy shit, man, what the hell are you all talking about? This is a really good game. We've seen that too. We've seen obnoxiously low scores. We've seen obnoxiously high scores for games that we're like, what are we doing? Right? I think this game falls into that area that, sure, would you always like to see a game that you're playing that you're going, God damn, I had a really good time here. Would have loved more people to try this out. And had it hit that 85 or had it hit that 87, more people would have tried it out. Right? Yeah, we all get that kind of feeling with games we love. Right? I wish, I wish a lot of games were like that, right? But ultimately, I think the score is a good spot for South of Midnight, especially from where Compulsion came from, especially for a lot of people not believing in Compulsion as a studio. A lot of people questioned and still question why Phil and Xbox went and bought Compulsion after We Happy Few came out and did what it did, critically speaking. Why would you go buy this team? What did you see in this team? Well, I think what you're seeing in South of Midnight is a whole lot of freaking talent shine through, getting the chance to complete their game, given extra time to make sure that it was polished, given extra resources with a new studio and to be able to hire more people. I think you see a studio that knows what the hell they're doing. And I think they're actually one of those studios that is ascending. Now, it's taken them a little bit longer. They don't have as many games in between as some of the other studios that we see Ascend do, but this is an ascension. From where they were with We Happy Few to now this, I think this is a studio that's on the rise, and I think that they put together a great game that consistently, from everybody that's playing it, nails a lot of what you look for in gaming, which is story, which is writing, which is atmosphere, which is creativeness, with taking a mythology down from deep south in Louisiana that we don't see a whole lot of, some of that voodoo and that kind of stuff down there, that Creole mythology, and turning it into something where a lot of people are going, you know what, there's a lot of interesting freaking stuff in this game. Now, combat, some of the basic mechanics, if that trails off towards the end or gets repetitive towards the end, hey, we've seen a lot of studios wind up with that problem. A lot of games wind up with that problem. Again, I had that problem with Avowed. A lot of studios wind up in that same situation. But I think that more than anything, even if you disagree with the 7s or the 6s and the 8s, the low 8s here, even if you disagree with it and you say this game should have gotten rated higher, I think you could take a step back and still say that Compulsion did their thing, and they created a brand new IP from scratch and pulled together one hell of a product and one hell of a story to tell. And whether or not everybody agrees, or whether everybody, some people get turned off by some of the subject matter or whatever, well, that's always going to be the case in a lot of different, whether it's movies, books, games, it doesn't matter. You're going to find that in entertainment. A lot of people aren't going to be attracted to things. I hate bloodfest horror movies. I can't stand them. So I think you're going to find that, but I think overall that Compulsion did a great job. And I think that the future's bright for Compulsion. And I think once again, Steel, I will say it. I'm a champion of this. Give the studio a chance. Go back to South of Midnight. Give them an opportunity right now to start on a sequel and let them work from what they created right here, the base level, and build upon everything that they did well, and then expand upon the stuff where they could do better, where a lot of people have agreed that, hey, maybe the combat could have been a little bit different down the road, or refreshed down later in the game, or maybe expanded upon, give us more variety. Let them go back to work, Steel. If they want to make South of Midnight 2, greenlight that shit like you used to do back in the 360 generation, and let Compulsion go back to the lab and build off of what they've done here, because I think they've got something that is good enough to do that with, according to most people. Again, I haven't played it yet, but according to most people, I think they've got something here.
No, I 100% stand behind that as well. I think it seems like an interesting game, has a decent story. That's what we ask for nowadays. And so there's that. Nixie says, so if they're disabling the combat, are they just watching it like a movie? Yeah, apparently there's, I saw you guys mentioning in the chat, apparently people like Rick Miller they played the game without the combat enabled, which I heard is an accessibility option in the game.
Yeah.
I just have to ask at that point, what's the point? If you didn't have interest in it, why are you watching it? It's a game. Why aren't you playing the game?
It's always weird to me, but
if anything, that makes me want to call you a dumbass. Just say that you don't like the game like that, because you're not playing it. So what? It's one of those bigger problems in the gaming industry, and it goes into one of those aspects of when people say they've played games they didn't actually play and then still find a problem with it. If you're not playing the game, then why are we talking about it? Regardless if you watched all the flicks or not. I didn't ask how you felt about the game, about the fucking movie scenes, the cut scenes. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the game, not a movie. You do a movie show if you wanted to talk about movies. Oh, I watched the South of Midnight cutscenes and I want to talk about them. You didn't play the game though, so I just feel like that's a little bit. I just feel like that's disingenuous and weird. Like that makes me not want to tune into you. Maybe that was his intention. But people like that. So I mean, again, I'm not here to judge. It's just I think that's weird. Bando says, still told you all to give Greg Miller a wedgie if you see him. I'm stopped. Hey, somebody got to, because that's just weird behavior. I just don't get that. I don't get that. Nixie says disabling combat is like not watching reviews for a game. How is that possible? I have no idea, dog. If you don't like the combat, like, because Nick said earlier, he said, yeah, he and some others disabled the combat. They didn't like the combat. Then stop playing the game. Just turn it off. Say it's not for you.
I mean, I guess if it's no different than watching, I guess, somebody run through a game. I've watched people play through games. I mean, I guess it's really.
But I think it skips. You don't even see the combat though at that point.
Right, but I'm just saying. I guess you wouldn't. Yeah, if that's the case, if it doesn't do it, so it doesn't do the combat auto for you. It doesn't.
I think it just skips the combat.
So you don't get to see the battles and what the enemies are doing.
No, at least from how it was explained.
That'd be weird. I don't even know why you'd want to talk about it.
like you said, Steel, at that point, you're just not interested.
Because you're not even seeing the progression of the combat. You're not seeing, you're not seeing nothing. I don't know. Weird.
Yeah, it's a little.
To each their own, but I already don't tune into them, so I don't have much else there to say other than that. Bo says there's games that have surface level combat only, but really good storytelling, like Soul Reaver. Yeah, Soul Reaver is I think it's a good example. Soul Reaver isn't bad, but that's a good example.
Soul Reaver's great.
Wacko says you can skip combat by holding down B.
Okay.
So it just skips the combat. You go into the cutscene.
yeah, exactly, Nick. So if you turn off the combat, you wouldn't play the game anymore, right? That's what Steel was saying, and I totally agree. Why would you do that at that point?
If you are playing the game and you find out that the combat is not for you,
you're not playing the game.
Then
you're not playing the game.
You should stop there. You can continue to watch the cutscenes, but you should stop there and say, "I didn't like the game for this reason." But at that point, you wouldn't even be able to rate the game properly because you're not taking in the full breadth of the game.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's a me thing. Let's see what else we're gonna get in here. What else was there that was striking the fire? Bungie are gearing up to reveal something about Marathon. I know I've talked about Marathon previously, but apparently there's some teases and things that are being announced out there. I saw a post that they made on X as well. This is from Rock Paper Shotgun, and the article is done by Brendan Caldwell, saying that Bungie has broken silence surrounding their upcoming extraction shooter Marathon to tweet a short video full of cryptic symbols. Now, I also saw that there were some content creators that have actually played Marathon recently as well. They went out and played a test build or something. Let's see. The first post on Twitter sent fans into a flap that was spliced with videos of various symbols switching around. Some users think that if you cut up the video and piece it back together correctly before attempting to decode the symbols meaning, but most of the X just immediately gave up and asked social media's built-in AI Grok what the video meant. Grok didn't know and said the post was marketing. Afterwards, the studio's social media account shared more. It posted an animation showing code being slowly decrypted while warning of an unauthorized transmission. Alongside this was a link to the ARG website with a Twitch login. Currently, the Twitch login just brings you to a page that says access denied. So it looks like they're maybe going to tease some gameplay about Marathon, maybe give us an actual update. I know I've mentioned before about Bungie in Marathon. I don't think Marathon is going to end up being the game that they needed to be. Extraction shooters haven't proven to be the greatest. Now, I do think Bungie has the potential to create another special first-person shooter. Bungie has a history of making good first-person shooters. There's, out of all the things that I can say about Destiny, I will still stand on. It is definitely still one of the best first-person shooters on the market, at least in the way it makes you feel. I'm not hyped for it. I don't have hope for it. But if they're going to show us something, then show us something. I don't know what to expect from Bungie right now anymore. It's in the dirt for me right now. Pong, I mean, does any of this decryption or decrypting things stand out for you? Are you interested in Marathon? Have you seen people, content creators and stuff like that, teasing that they've played the game?
Well, I did see some of it. I think even Keeley tweeted out his past that he had played Marathon. So obviously it's going on. It's happening. As far as Marathon goes, no. I mean, I'm always interested. I like the vibe, right? I like the aesthetic that they're going with. That futuristic look. I like the colors so far. Like, I do like certain parts of it. Is it my type of game? No, it's not my type of game. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm hyped about it. Like, I haven't cared about Bungie in a long ass time. I was super hyped for Destiny 1, played a ton of Destiny 1, played some of Destiny 2, and then fell off and don't even think about it anymore. It is what it is. I've always said all along that even if they cut back the size and scope of Marathon, which is what, according to everybody, happened after Sony started canceling their projects and Bungie went, downhill and Sony absorbed them, most of them. I always said that there was a chance because there is a big Bungie fan base. There is a lot of people who love Bungie. Bungie obviously does great
shooting mechanics. Like, again, I mean, there's combat mechanics. Like they do a great job from that perspective. They're still very good at what they do. There's always a shot that Bungie makes a fantastic game, right? There's always a shot, even if it's smaller, that they build upon it and they turn it into something special. So I think you are going to see, as much as, you know, a lot of us don't think about Bungie or haven't thought about Marathon. As we get closer, now that we see these little teases and we see people saying they've played it, yeah, you're going to see a groundswell kind of hype movement for Marathon. And I think that this is a good thing, obviously, for, you know, PlayStation and for Bungie themselves, you know, that they are getting this a little bit of hype. Now they got to show up, and we'll find out. That's all that matters. Doesn't matter what people think, or if we're going to play these games of decrypting different scenarios. None of that's going to matter until the games are in people's hands, or until people get to see more of the hands-on gameplay, so we could judge the gameplay, right? That's all that really matters. But I think Bungie's got a shot with Marathon. I won't ever count them out, because there are a lot of people who love what Bungie does. So I think that Marathon's got a chance here. And you know, again, if this is how they're going to start generating the hype, so be it. This is teasing. That's cool. I just want to see some actual gameplay. I want to get an idea of what this game actually is at this point, since we've heard it has changed internally. So I want to know what this is now.
Yeah.
You still there?
So we'll see what ends up. Yeah, I'm saying no. We'll see what ends up happening. I was just discussing this dude with this dude about my logo. Yeah. He sent me the final draft of it, or whatever. So I was trying to find out what's going on. But well, other than that, let's see. Is there anything else that I had in particular on my radar here? Some more information went out about Doom as well. Yeah, continue to look interesting. A lot of people are having some fun with it. It seems like there are going to be demon leaders with gold armor that drop upgrades for Doom Guy's armor. The slow motion effect is going to be entirely optional. There's a bunch of other details as well. They're also saying that there are a total of 22 levels, where Doom Eternal had 15. So there's some additional levels. So that's interesting. Also saw that it is, again, more grounded if you still are confused whether it is or not. So keep that in mind as well. Yeah, but I mean, again, I'm not probably going to end up playing Doom day one. I didn't play the last one day one. I didn't finish Eternal. And again, I didn't play 2016 either. So, and I'm the person that if I didn't play those previous games, I'm not going to jump into the next one. I liked what Doom Eternal was doing. I was having some fun with the gameplay. I did hit a wall with one of the enemy types, and I just didn't care enough to continue to forward. I don't know. It's just me. Finding all the hidden items and everything in the world is cool. I didn't necessarily mind all the traversal mechanics and stuff like that. I think the game felt good. Maybe this new one will make me feel a little bit different. But right now, yeah, just because I haven't played the previous to completion, I don't have any interest in playing this new one. Although, again, it gives you room because this is literally the prequel. So it's not like I'm missing something by playing this game, with it being a prequel. So we'll see. I don't have any plans to try it right now, but there's that. Do you have any additional hype or anything else that stood out for you as far as what you've seen from Doom thus far, and on the updates and everything?
Yeah, this is high on my list. Again, I'm not doing this is my most hyped Xbox game, because every time I've done that now it's been delayed. So I'm not doing that anymore. So I'm just going to say this is high on my list, and it gets higher still. I think this has got Game of the Year quality to it. We'll find out when it drops. This is old school Doom player, right? For me, Doom Eternal, as I've stated many times, love the movement, loved the finishers, loved the fluidity. Obviously hated the platforming.
Yeah.
Hated the platforming. I can't do it, guys. I just can't. The fact that they're making this a grounded Doom, I am so down for. I know it's not going to be everybody's favorite Doom. There's going to be a whole lot of Doom players that liked how fast Doom Eternal was, and this is going to be at times obviously a more methodical Doom. By the looks of it, it still looks ridiculously
chaotic and fast. But I'm just saying, with the shield, with the parry action, that kind of stuff, it's going to create a different experience. I am here for it still. This is right up my alley. The fact that you are also throwing in a cyber dragon on top of it that I'm going to be able to fly around with on levels and have freaking new experiences there. And then, oh, by the way, a freaking 12-story mech in which I get to beat supersized demons' asses with.
That may,
yeah.
Again,
bro.
yeah.
Yes, and more freaking yes. So yeah, no, all this new information that came out is definitely something I can't wait. This will be day one for me. It's May 15th is when it drops into Game Pass. I will be there. Day one. I can't wait to play this. Man, I just need them, and I made that post. If anybody from Xbox is listening, I made a post to you guys, but we got to get that 4K wallpaper that id put up for Doom, the Dark Ages. Dope. We need that in physical poster. I need that framed behind me. I will buy it and I will frame it. That is one of the most badass video game shots that I've seen in a while, and I want that in poster form. I do. I want that in physical form. I got it on my PC at work as my lock screen. I need it hanging on a wall in my house. So please do that. But yeah, I can't wait, man. Can't wait. Yeah, yes, Bold Alpha. There's entire levels dedicated to the mech. Correct. Same with the dragon as well. And the dragon is fully flyable. They've confirmed all that. It's not on rails. Like, it's fully, you're controlling the dragon, you're controlling the guns, you're controlling everything. So yep.
That's dope. Yeah, that's gonna be dope to see. Yeah. Bo says it's got an upgrade pass. It's gonna be interesting to see how that stuff plays out, man.
Ron, you haven't beat Peppa the Pig yet? Man, you got a backlog, brother. What's going on, Ron?
Yeah, you got to work on
it. Get to it.
I think another big, quick hitter that I could put out there is Microsoft and Blizzard looking to expand StarCraft universe with Korean devs such as NCSoft, Nexon, Netmarble, and Krafton, etc. Reportedly with unprecedented competition to get rights. Saying that there's unprecedented competition to get the rights for it is interesting. I would like to see those companies jump into it. Nexon, at least for me, has been doing pretty solid, right? And I think they could do something special with StarCraft. NCSoft, I think, has a lot of potential to do something dope with StarCraft as well. So maybe Krafton can do something special. But again, just the idea of StarCraft coming back to light and us in though that IP taken advantage of, especially with its lore, the different characters that it had, the aesthetics of it. I need that back in the gaming sphere. Because there's just the way that the way that the characters look in those games, the enemies, the good guys, all of it, just across the board. It's just those designs are extremely memorable, and I need those. I need those in my modern games. I need those. I need that right now. Whether it be an RTS, again, if there's one RTS that would get me to consider playing again, it would definitely be StarCraft. So.
If this turns out to be a real rumor, and again, take everything with a grain of salt. This came from a Korean website, I think. This news. If this turns out to be real, then Xbox Phil and Sarah and everybody over there is making a good decision here. StarCraft is massive the world over, but it is extremely massive in Korea specifically, and in the East. So to go over there now, I believe personally, internally, they probably have World's Edge or somebody else working on the RTS return. I would imagine if Blizzard is not putting together an actual new team, you've already got one of the best RTS makers in the business right in-house in World's Edge. You've got access to a ton of other studios as well. Relic is now a free agent out there that you could certainly bring in to help with the production of that new game as well. So I don't think this is for the RTS side of things. I think they wanted to expand the universe still. If it is for the RTS, cool. But I think they personally wanted to expand the world. I think they want to take that lore and turn it into potentially a third-person shooter, maybe a first-person shooter, action game, whatever. And I think if they're honestly doing this and they're asking for pitches from all of these Eastern companies where StarCraft is still a massive phenomenon, then you could not have asked for a better scenario from Xbox in this decision-making. So I am super excited if this becomes real.
of what we could see from StarCraft coming back, not only in the RTS form, because I firmly believe they're going to do that, but also in a future iteration that is different, right? That could be Halo-like or whatever the case, whatever you want to throw out there. I think this would be so freaking cool, man. So I'm happy. I'm happy to hear this. Even if it is just a rumor, I'm happy to hear this as potential.
Yeah, a lot of potential, man. A lot of potential. Let's see. I don't have anything else on my list that I have made on my end. The tease of Titanfall 3 possibly coming back in 2026. That's just according to a rumor right now, so take that with a grain of salt. For what it is, if we get a Titanfall 3, maybe this will be their time. I mean, again, we're also supposed to be getting Battlefield that year as well. Are we going to have a Battlefield versus Titanfall 3 scenario again? I would hope not.
No,
with Vince
I think Battlefield should be spring. Battlefield should be spring.
Titanfall
and then
like
Titanfall
fall?
Towards the end of the year, fall. Yeah, that's what you would do. This comes from two pretty good Apex Legend leakers who data mine a lot of stuff. So again, do take it with a grain of salt. They posted it in their Discord. Where it came from, I kind of looked it up. So it went out in one of the Discords on April Fool's Day. So everybody kind of played it off like it was a joke. Then one of the guys came back and said, yeah, it's always fun to drop some true news during April Fools as if it's a joke. He said, that's what the Titanfall 3 stuff was. It is real. They've been working on it, and it is coming. So, again, take it with a grain of salt. But if Zampella and his team are going to pull off a Battlefield and then also pull off a Titanfall 3 steal, just give Zampella whatever he wants. Just give Zampella, if he pulls this off, if he makes a great Battlefield and then turns around and drops a great Titanfall on us, just give him whatever he wants, man. Two of my favorite franchises in the first-person shooting genre. Give him whatever he wants. It's unbelievable that we're even talking about this. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
I hope
the fact that it's even teased in the first place is extremely interesting to me. We'll see how things go. Anything else on your radar, Pong, that you feel on your heart that you need to touch?
Real quick, Detective Seeds came out yesterday and said that Bungie thing for Marathon is supposed to be on Tuesday, but Bethesda's thing for Elder Scrolls is supposed to be on Thursday. And we also got word that Bethesda quietly removed Oblivion's store page trailer assets from Steam after 15 years this week, which normally happens when something's brewing. And obviously we know the rumor of the Oblivion remake has been out there, has been gaining steam. We basically know it's true at this point. It's just a matter of when. Sounds like we could get it this week, and it could be shadow dropped as well. So that's kind of been the word on the street. If that happens, that changes my gaming plans this month by a lot. So we're going to see what happens if that drops. So I'm excited for that steal, obviously, so a lot of people. So I gotta throw that out there. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Oh man. I think that's pretty much it for me too. Night Dive. Night Dive Studios. I want to throw this out there too. While we're talking about remakes and remasters. Night Dive, one of the great remaster studios out there right now, right? Owned by Atari. Night Dive is fantastic. They're the ones doing System Shock stuff. Listen, they came out and put out a article or a little blurb. They were doing an interview, I think somewhere. VGC had it. We stand ready, quote unquote. Retro specialist Night Dive Studio says it wants to start remastering Xbox 360 and PS3 games. I know people are sick of remasters. I don't care. If Night Dive is going to go back and pull some classics out from the 360 PS3 generation and start remastering for us, please, by all means, Night Dive, go for it. Start picking out whatever you want to pick out, man. So, bro, there's a lot. There's a big catalog of IP that have been abandoned for a very long time now, Steel, from the 360 PS3 generation, that if they want to refresh them and bring them back, let's go. So I thought that was pretty exciting too, because Night Dive is really good at what they do.
I do want to, let me see if I could do this for you guys real quick. I'm gonna bring something up on screen just to see how you guys feel about it. You guys can let me know live.
Oh, you're gonna show them off.
Yeah, I might as well. Ladies and gentlemen, how you guys feel about this right here? This is the new Steel Rain special.
Go.
Oh. Yo, shout out to I'm gonna do a live shout out for him as well. Shout out to Stella Steve for at Stella Steve on X, otherwise known as Twitter, for being able to bring the vision to life. Took some work to get to this where we are today. I had to put some additional work in as well on my end, put a little bit more of my creativity bones out there to get the idea of what I wanted to go for. But nonetheless, man, I mean, he was able to figure out, able to come out with something that I am satisfied and pretty solidly happy with. I think it looks pretty damn good, right? There's some me being finicky and picky. There's some additional adjustments that I would probably still make, but nonetheless, I think he did damn good for what I brought to him. Me being extremely picky and bringing it to life, man. So hopefully y'all like that. Y'all have some interest in that as well. Appreciate that. Appreciate all the love. But yeah, man, I wanted to show that off on stream to you guys. See how you guys feel about that, man. That is my custom character. And I kind of wanted to get because I'm a Leo, I want to get a little bit more of the lion in there. I'm an Iron Man fan, so of course, got to get the Iron Man in there. I'm a Gundam fan, so you see the forehead piece that's coming from Gundam Barbados. You see the legendary skull on one of the shoulder pad, and then boom, you get the continuation of the lion as well on the shoulder pad. Just looks dope, man. I hope it bring a lot of representation in there. I had an idea to throw like a Venom kind of hood, Venom kind of cloak on there, just to kind of represent all the characters that I like, and all the types of things that I like. I felt like that was just doing too much. Maybe at one point I'll find somebody that can actually bring that vision to life as well. I don't know how else I would further go about that to make this better than what it is. But shout out to Stella Steve, man, for bringing it out and put it on the table, man. It's super dope. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's that elite skull, that legendary skull on that shoulder from Halo. So appreciate that, man. But wanted to throw that on the screen. Give him a live shout out. He's currently putting together the transparent version for me right now. And then I'm gonna put a post out there as well to put it out there for people. But yeah, man, I don't have anything else on my subject list. I'm gonna get to making this rack that I got to put out here for my washer and dryer. Continue to refine some things on this move, eat a little lunch, and hopefully get some more Khazan in. That's gonna be my plan for the evening, unless I jump back into Warzone or something like that, depending on how I'm feeling. But yeah, man, nothing else on my radar. Pong, is there anything else that you want to get in here on the quick hitter list? No, we're not going to get into this day of gaming today. We're going to kind of wind things down, be on call this one the comeback. But we'll bring back upcoming games. Hopefully I'll be a little bit more settled in, and upcoming games and this day in gaming next week.
Yeah, that's cool.
No, I got still. We need a tour of your office setup. I still got it set up in my room. It's in a better space, at least. It's definitely a lot more space in here. Mainly I have my setup in my room because my wife likes to watch me game. Just likes to watch me do stuff that I do on the PC, and she doesn't necessarily isn't bothered by anything that I got going on over here. So yeah, but we can definitely do that when I get everything set up. I still got to finish some of this wire setup and stuff like that. I did post a picture on X as well, to kind of give people an idea of what I'm going for. But yeah, man, things are feeling good. Energy's feeling good. Things are feeling right. So that's the main thing. One day we'll get that extra bedroom so we can have the office and we go bananas and get crazy in there. But I got a battle station over here. I got a lot going on. So it's good. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Big move. So yeah, but anything else you want to throw on there, bro?
No, I got nothing else, man. No, we can get everybody out of here. So yeah, we'll get closer to normal coming up here as weeks go ahead, as Steel gets settled in and stuff. I'm just so happy for you and the fam, brother, that you guys got a little bit bigger spot and got some fresh energy. And I'm glad you found a spot, close to where you wanted to be on Gator Island, and
Yes.
I'm happy for you, brother. You got a little extra step, a little pep in you. Got more to do, obviously, but I love it, man. I love that you guys are there. So I'm really happy for you. Congrats on that, brother. Again,
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Bo says, did you take about that Aces reveal? No, we didn't talk about the Aces reveal. Right now, I'm just gonna write that off as a nothing burger right now, for me at least. Again, this is something I believe we spoke to before, as far as the whole handheld vision and everything. The Aces handheld that they're going to be teaming up with Xbox to make, we're going to end up seeing what it ends up being. But other than that, they didn't show anything. It's kind of teased it, kind of implied that there's going to be something else going on there. I'm not going to speak more to it until we see the actual device in our hands. What is an Xbox partnership with Asus mean? What are they going to implement on that hardware? Are we going to have a Windows Light OS on there that they've already kind of solidified? Because now, again, I have mentioned that before. There is a Windows Light official version. So do they have something ideally that they want to try on this device up front? That's what I'm more so concerned about than anything, is how they actually implement this. So, but yeah, man, that's about all I got. And Pong, if you ain't got nothing else, then we'll go ahead and wind things down, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say thank y'all for coming out and checking us out after a 2-week hiatus. It's always a good time chopping it up with you guys. We're gonna bring some more. We're gonna bring some more of that energy, some more of that love next weekend as well on the next episode of Living Split Screen. But biggest topic of the day was the Nintendo talk, right? There's just a lot of ups and downs about it. And again, I don't want anybody to feel like I'm telling you how you can or should spend your money. Personally, I can care less what you do with your money. That's not what I'm here for. But when it does come down to, because people speak to you, they speak to their pockets all the time, or you try to speak as a consumer all the time, and you say, oh, you try to be frugal, you try to do all these other things. That are people that try to play to what's best for the consumer, and you have to be able to recognize when things are happening that are not good for the consumer, right? And that's always the angle that I'm going to be coming from more than anything as far as that goes. Again, I can also be very honest about my perspective and where I'm at in the ecosystem for Nintendo as well. And they're not, like Pong mentioned earlier, they're not speaking to me, right? There's some games that speak my language, right? But other than that, it's not for me specifically. So we'll see how things end up going. Things are going to only end up becoming more interesting. We're only a couple months away now from that E3 time. Xbox Showcase, again, is going to be right around that corner, where they show us their big announcements. Again, we probably might get a big Fable display again. We might get, who knows? There's a lot of things that can be displayed as we move further into this E3-like time here in the next couple months. So stay tuned, stay locked in. We're going to continue to keep that ball rolling. But it also means another season is ending soon. So we're going to be moving into season 5, because again, usually around that E3 time is when the next season kicks off for us, and just how we handle our seasons here. I live in Split Screen. Not like it means much. It's just how we do our breakdowns. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming to join me and my brother Pone on this episode of Living Split Screen. You can find me, Steel Rain, that T is a 7 everywhere. X, otherwise known as Twitter, is the main place. And we are the home of that RTS approach, where we pull ourselves out of the world, look at the darker crevices of that map, pull our resources together so we can not only build up our own foundation, but also for a foundation for those potential 2 to 3 billion gamers that are out there. Also the home of that ECP, educated consumer perspective, because me and Paul do not work in the gaming industry. We're two dudes with plenty of gaming knowledge behind us and professional knowledge when it comes to the workforce. So we play a little armchair CEO and kind of think about how we would approach some of these things that are happening and what we would like to see as consumers. With that being said, continue to stay locked in. There's probably going to be some more streams and stuff. I got to test some stuff out, gameplay and whatnot. I might do some Berserker Khazan streams and stuff like that. I might do some more. I got to pick up on my Monster Hunter Wilds. I wasn't able to do that as I wanted, but hey, it's life. Things happen. Pong, let the beautiful people know where they can find you, and much love to you, man.
No, all love to you, brother. All love to our chat, and nothing but respect for each and every single one of you. Again, fantastic to be back in the seat on a Saturday, talking with my brother, talking with you guys in the chat. Love you all again. What a great show. Yeah, by the way, I just listened to a short little blurb of that Tron Ares trailer with Trent and Atticus doing their thing. Yeah, they're gonna do just fine. Go watch that freaking trailer. Anyways, love to have everybody back here again. Yeah, the Nintendo topic big, and obviously, yeah, it's no matter what. Even if I disagree with some of their decisions, it's still fascinating because this is going to be a massive launch. They're going to have ripple effects in the industry, whether we like it or not. So it is dope as hell, to get another console announced. Hell, we might be in the console launch season, so we might get some more news, like everybody's been talking about from either Xbox or PlayStation could show up with their handheld at some point too within the next year. So we're in that time frame, and that's where it gets really exciting when new tech shows up, no matter what it is. So glad to talk about that. Glad to get it out. Otherwise, everybody, thanks for being here. But you guys know how to find me, Pong Soul everywhere. Follow me, I'll follow you back. No Shop Podcast. We are still on hiatus. Keep your eyes and ears open for Sunday nights, Sunday afternoon, however you look at it, return. Don't know when. PTK's, again, real life comes first, man. So shout out to PTK, shout out to his fam, and we'll be back at some point, I imagine. So just keep your eyes and ears open. But next week, the drill, 5 days a week. It's Boomstick. It's Double Barrel Gaming. It's all good things green though on Tuesday. So you gotta go check out the Xbox Factor podcast, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Shout out to Boom and the crew. And then otherwise, my week starts on Thursday over on the Fun Speculation Network. That's right, PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM, where I take the lead chair on Thursday nights. And me and Mav catch up much like Steele and I do here. We talk all things, not just Xbox or not just any one thing. And we had a big conversation, of course, about Nintendo this week. If Oblivion gets dropped next week, man, there's going to be a conversation Thursday night. So that's when it's supposed to happen, is Thursday. So, yeah. We're going to be talking a whole lot. I can't wait to see. But there will be more news next week. It sounds like it's going to be fun. Marathon, we might get that first look. So join us Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time for PM in the PM. And then Friday nights, it's Xbox Ultimate, where the family gets together. We never know how many of us are going to be there. Jasper showed up for a bit, so it was me, Jasper, Fuzzy, and of course Mav. But no matter how many of us are there on Friday nights, it's always a good time. We have lots of laughs, but lots of good talk. And that's 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time for Xbox Ultimate. And then, like Steele said, God willing, we should be back here next week, getting back to the groove of things for Living Split Screen. It's the golden age of gaming, people. Whatever you are playing, please enjoy it. Have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you all for giving us your time, which is your most valuable commodity today. And get out there, play what you love. Love what you play. And I'll talk to y'all real soon. Steele, get us out of here, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once again, thank you for joining us on Living Split Screen. We will catch you next week on the next episode. Y'all stay safe, get some gaming in, and much love. Peace.
Just one question. What if you miss?
I won't.
I came back to let you know got a thing for you, and I can't let go.